All right, all right. What's up? What's up? This is Baksho, and of course, আমি অনেকক্ষণ ধরে তোমাদেরকে wait করিয়েছি. I was getting nervous myself, anyways. I wanted to make an awesome intro, but I'm like, wait, what am I doing for 4 minutes? I'm thinking, I don't think I can start off like Tom does. But the first thing I want to say, he did this in one of his videos in the Instagram. Good day. Yeah, what's up? Anyways, guys. This is super awesome, man. I can't believe it. Thum is here. But yes, I will bring him in the screen right on this side in just a little bit. Before that, let me tell you, it's really simple. All you need to do is, comment in the comment section below. Ask him your questions. He's here. This is amazing. Thum is extremely busy, and he's been working with some stuff that he's going to announce later on. And I'm super grateful. I'm sure you guys are as well, that he was able to give some time. And such a good sport. So start dropping your messages and stuff. He's going to pop up in just a second or two or a minute. I also want to tell you, this is being simulcasted in two places. My page, that's Beatboxing, and also the YouTube. Facebook is usually easier access to people around here in the subcontinent. But I thought, why not? Go YouTube as well, so you can share this. So I would suggest you watch this on YouTube or the Facebook page, but when you share it, share the YouTube link so that people can come in there and comment there, because when you do share the Facebook link, someone comments under the Facebook and that doesn't appear on the live, so we can't really understand what they're trying to say and if they have any message for Thum. Yeah, anyways, I'm super stoked. Yeah, this is gonna be amazing. This is super amazing. Get ready for Thum! What's up?
G'day.
How are you, man? This is so amazing. I can't believe it. You're here on the podcast. What's up? What's up?
I'm good, man. I'm just chilling. Just sitting in the studio after kind of burning the candle, and yeah, ready to wind down and talk for a bit instead of letting my ears get completely beaten by my same loop repeating over and over and over and over and over. So it's nice to have some human interaction.
That's okay. Well, it's nice it's super for us to even have interaction right now going on with this pandemic. This is, I know it's a kind of like more simmered down in Australia at the moment, as far as the recent news that I've heard. And I hope you're safe, by the way. Hope everything's fine. But in Bangladesh and the neighboring countries, it's still on, and we are kind of facing a lot of problems still. So it's a world situation. I hope we can get out of it. But the interaction that we're getting online and stuff, these are positive stuff, but it's super awesome. Anyone who's watching Thum for the first time, my question to you is, where in the world were you guys all these days? But it's all right.
Yeah.
All you need to do is, once this podcast is over, you can check out the links below. Everything from his Spotify to his YouTube, Twitter, everything's right there. Click, follow, and just watch what this awesome individual does. All right. So, Thum, before we go into the typical stuff and then the awesome stuff, I would love to read a lot of comments that started, showering up all the way here.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Mir Sami has just looking at his picture is making my heart go crazy.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. All right. So we have a amazing musician. He's part of the music industry in Bangladesh. This is Pritam Hassan. He's a huge fan. He's also watching you right now. And he does dope EDM, dope dubstep stuff with a lot of folk, a lot of stuff. It's amazing. You should check it out.
Absolutely.
And, awesome stuff. We have Rough Techniques. He's here. And a lot of other people. Oh, let me announce this. Okay, I'll just announce it a bit later. Thum, the first thing I want to ask, just this is typical, is for those who do not know who Thum is. Just a couple of lines about yourself.
Yeah, okay. I am from Brisbane, Australia. I've been beatboxing for over 15 years now, I think, if I can count. You think I would be able to count, having to use time signatures and everything. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just love music. I grew up listening to hip hop in the graffiti scene, and as a b-boy, and as an MC and a producer as well. But now I just like hanging out in my backyard and talking to birds. The best thing, man. You know, sometimes when you work a lot in music and you're always listening to heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of kind of sonic information, so it's nice to just chill out and hear nothing sometimes. So yeah, I think I've come full circle where I used to love the sound of my own sounds, and now I just like kind of taking some breaks in between it and learning to really appreciate music when it comes back.
Well, of course, there's inspiration around no matter where you go, whatever sound you pick up. As beatboxers, we have this different thing that we pick up. You know, in regular times, everyone will be, okay, that's just a drill machine. For us, it'll be, yeah, this is going somewhere.
So many layers to that sound. Yeah,
yeah, totally. Oh man. Pasha has written a message. Your TED Talk changed my life, literally.
Oh, word. It changed.
Well, it changed for all of us as well. I couldn't thank you enough. I was telling you offline. It was because of your TED Talk that I was able to give my TED Talk. And the only good thing I've done in the entire TED Talk was I said, your life starts with a beat. And the rest of my TED Talk just went. So let's see, maybe someday I can do it again, or somewhere better. I do want to announce, by the way, before we go full throttle with a lot of Thum stuff, information, history, experience, and yes, there you will get the chance to ask him questions about his sounds, about his techniques that he can and he will share. But this is the surprise. Maybe one or two of you, maybe at the end of the podcast, we'll get to come here live on the podcast and get to talk to your favorite beatboxer, Thum. So get ready. Do ask the right questions, or maybe something amazing that you say, or maybe an experience that you can share about, say, Thum, or beatboxing in general. Just keep them coming and let me know, and let's see, maybe me or Tom, or you know, we could just pick up one of you, someone lucky from the comments. All right, so before we go on, I would like to read two comments. My literal first beatbox video was your TEDx showcase, and from there, I'm a beatboxer, fully into music. I love you, sir. My first inspiration.
Oh, well, man, it's so like, it's crazy. Like doing that, I'd kind of already been doing my thing for a few years, and I was going like, oh, is this something that I can do with my life? Is this like a viable thing to pursue as a career? And you know, as a natural course of your passion, you're kind of going like, okay, I'm getting a bit older. Is this a wise decision to invest my time in something that I love, but perhaps won't kind of earn me a career? And so that moment for me was like a real turning point, because it felt validated. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh, cool. People actually dig what I do. You know, it was great to see a large scale of different caliber audience, you know what I mean? It wasn't your local hip hop show kind of thing. It was people from all walks of life. And I felt like I came off that stage and I was like, yes! Like I felt like giving myself a high five without being a weirdo. But it was great, man. I really, not so much the performance itself, like I was shitting myself the whole time, but like just the feeling that I kind of had made the right choice with what I wanted to do in life. That was kind of a real turning point for me. So I was so stoked. So I'm glad that it's like, it's connecting with people, and especially with beatboxers around the world, because there was a lot of videos like that for me that pushed me into beatboxing. So I'm glad that I can pay it back.
It's kind of like I don't know if the term should be a ripple effect, or something along that line, a butterfly, whatever. You do something here. Yeah, you do something here.
Side of the world, and someone else feels the sub-frequency
exactly
on the other side of the planet.
Exactly. So what you did, the output was a hurricane. I was like, yes, the good way, not the bad way, not like getting blown away. All right. Something I do want to bring up, by the way, whenever we try to look back into history, like for example, I'm a huge history buff. No matter what it is, I would love to dig right into it. And since beatboxing is something I love, I thought, okay, I need to know more as well. I had the privilege of talking, or actually being part of a panel that was where we had Dougie Fresh. I was like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the history part was like, I got to know a lot more. So something that I would like to share about you, and of course you would continue it if it's on the right point, is you were part of a group at one point, and plus you were a b-boy as well.
Yeah. I was
So
a
tell
B-boy.
us something about that.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I started out skateboarding like when I was like 12 or maybe 13. I was skateboarding around a lot, and guys that I used to kick around with skating would always bring like little markers and like Nico pens and things like that, and they'd tag up all the spots where we were skateboarding, you know, like to say, yeah, this is our spot. And eventually people's tags got better and they started delving more into graffiti art. And then I got really into graph as well. So I like started doing my own tags on the back of my maths book and things like that. Terrible, so bad. But then I found out that a couple of the guys that were doing graph were also into b-boying. So I went to some breaking classes and I was just like, wow, this is like a thing. And that one other awesome thing that I'm interested in is connected to this thing. And this thing is connected to like emceeing, like the rap music you hear. And I was just like,
Right.
It was incredible, bro. Like having like a real like hip hop epiphany, knowing that I could really focus a super hyperactive mind into a discipline, like a discipline of a lot of areas of practice that didn't need anything. You know what I mean? With the exception of like, say, DJing, you really don't need much. Like for beatboxing, you just need what's already organically attached to your head. With b-boying, you just need your body and flexibility and mobility. And so hip hop for me, I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like getting to know the history and the culture, and it felt really gritty and underground and something that you didn't want your parents to find out about. So it was like a really great kind of outlet for an arty, hyperactive kind of shithead of a kid. So I started out in those kind of realms, man, like just kicking around with a whole bunch of people that were into it. And then eventually the day that I learned how to do windmills, my mate pulled out like an old fridge box, and like we got down on the side of the road in this park, and he was like, yeah, man, I'll kick a beatbox for you. And just did like this old school, like Fat Boys kind of routine, like the like fully old school.
Right. Yeah.
It blew my mind, man, because I'd been the whole time I'd been drawing and scribbling, like drawing space stations and, you know, like lasers and making the sounds of all the things I was drawing, but I never knew that it was connected to hip hop, or, you know, there was a continuation of that path that I was already on in something that I knew that I would love. So yeah, it was like a really exploratory kind of discovery for me, man. I was just kind of grabbing everything and trying my hand at it.
Wow. So what's really interesting is it's kind of like I don't know if network should be the word. Like, you know, for example, us watching a video, or the new generation watching a video, like, wow, I make sounds like that too. You know, I'll go somewhere, or I'll try doing this. See, mom, see, I do this, and you tell me this doesn't work. Look at him. So, so for you, it was a different revelation, the way it came to you. You know, all of us actually have different sources from where we get to know more about this. Before I ask the next question, that is connected to what you just said, I would like to read out a couple of the messages. I remember in 2015, I downloaded your TED Talk in a Nokia phone that took like 2 hours. Saw it, pursued the passion of beatboxing with a music background, and still going on. Thanks, legend.
Oh, well. Oh, man, this is like so nice. You know what I mean? Like I'm out in the middle of kind of rural Queensland, surrounded by bush. And so it's nice to have like a connection to real life people, as opposed to like just random comments here and there. It's nice to actually speak to people and see things like that, because that reinstates like my belief that I chose the right thing. So I'm stoked about that.
Definitely. And I believe it's a good feeling as well. Pritham Hanson's like, oh my God. All right. Pritham, you, since you're watching this, you do talk about production and stuff. So we can also mention, because Tom does a lot of this and he samples and it's really good at it. So Pritham does the same as well. Question for Thum. This is Vincent, and he was, I believe, the champion for 2018 in Philippines, the first champion they had.
Sick.
So,
Man,
question,
yeah.
question for Thum here. I'm sorry, Tom, you got cut off. You were saying Philippines.
Yeah, no, I love the Philippines. I played a festival called Malasimbo in Oriental Mindoro a couple of times, and it was my favorite festival I've ever played. The musicians in the Philippines are next level. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life, and I'd love to come back when this whole craziness is over. But unfortunately, beatboxers are probably not very welcome in a COVID kind of pandemic.
Yeah.
We'll have to very much cover our mouths. So we'll see.
We literally have to carry. I mean, yes, most of us do, but we have to have our own microphones, even if we go somewhere. Things are gonna, it's gonna change in a weird way soon. I don't know, man.
Yeah. It's like a friend of mine asked to borrow my microphone for some battles the other day. I was like, dude, no way, not today. But we've probably got really good immune systems, the amount of microphones we've used over the years.
Yeah, of course. Someone was asking in one of our videos, in the Beatbox Bangladesh videos, why are they using the same mic? In one of our battles last year, we used 2 mics. But in the recent one we did, Napalm, and they were like, use 1 mic because it's the same setting and everything. You don't want to, even tweak it a little bit. Don't do that. Yeah, it's really difficult to explain why we're using the same mic. But right now it's kind of compulsory that we shouldn't be using the same mic anymore for at least whatever happens.
There was a question, right? Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was just going there. Focusing. Okay. How did you become interested being a musician instead of focusing on just battles? Yes, good question. Thank you, Vincent.
Yeah, cool. So, I mean, the first time that to be honest, I haven't done many battles, man. I've never been a battler. I've done a few high-profile ones, but I never battled ever. Like I've only ever done 3 battles in my life. And the first one was like the world champs, the first world champs. And I remember in the hotel rooms, I was talking to Kid Lucky afterwards. And at that time, I think I was probably pretty young and just like keen and hungry, and I just want to be the best. I want to be the fastest. I want to be the most technical. And he was like, hey man, there's other routes that you can pursue. It doesn't have to be success through battling. Like there is that route for sure, but like you can explore like works in theater, you can explore being a musician, you can explore playing with other people. There's a lot of different routes to becoming a successful beatboxer or a successful musician. So I really took that on, man. And I'm not, in my heart of hearts, I'm not a really competitive person. You know what I mean? Like I'm happy to just find my own lane and go at my own pace and do things that I love. And for me, like getting on stage and aggressively trying to better someone at music, which is something that should be subjective anyway, is not something that I'm like super keen on. Like I love watching battles, but if I had to go up there and like battle someone, I'd probably just like cry. I'd probably just wee myself and roll up into a ball. So music has always been like pursuing a just creation, and especially creating with other people, man, like as opposed to detracting from someone else's credibility. I think it's nice to build with them and like really become the sum of each other's parts as opposed to trying to best them at music.
Right.
Yeah, so that was like a real epiphany for me, man. Like hearing someone quite revered in the scene say that to me, I was like, oh wow, oh, you can do that, and you'll still get cred and props, and people will still like you if you do that. And yeah, I never look back, man. To be honest, like I love battles, and I love going to battles and judging it. And I've got so much love for all the organizers, but personally, I think I'd just be too scared. I've already done so many things, man. It's like I just like pursuing other realms of creativity within beatboxing, I think.
What I see from this, and I don't know how you'll take it, but or whatever your perspective is, which I'm curious to find out, is yes, you know, the other, whatever the sectors in beatboxing there is, so whatever the platform in beatboxing there is, we do get a lot of questions. What if I don't battle? Does that make me like I'm not a beatboxer? I'm like, no, that's not how it goes. You know,
yeah,
like you, for example. But on the other hand, if you don't do what you're doing and the other sectors, then the beatboxing doesn't grow. You know. So I would, for example, you're doing something right now. You are actually working on something. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm working on a few things, but the very moment, I've kind of dropped everything. I had a little bit of spare time, and we got some deadlines for a project that I've been working on for a couple of years now, and so within the next month, myself and my friend Gordon Hamilton are putting together an album of orchestral recordings that we made with Queensland Symphony Orchestra. And so we're aiming to put out 16 songs in 4 weeks. So, not put them out, finish them in 4 weeks. So it's a very big challenge. We've been working like 9-hour days and really pushing it. But I'm super proud of what we've come up with, because it's like, you know, songs that I made on my loop station at my parents' house, you know, when I lived there, like in headphones, and now it's being played by an 80-person symphony orchestra. So it's a really cool, like, humbling experience. Even when I've heard the songs back 100 times, to know that, you know, close to 100 people are making this piece of music materialize is like a pretty amazing feeling. So yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment, and I'm probably going to be completely grey within a month. I'll just have bags under my eyes, like, yeah. COVID won't go anywhere near me. COVID won't want to catch Thum, I'll tell you that much. I'll be
wow. I'm just, you know, what's really awesome about this is, you know, how you mentioned, and this is something that it would be awesome for all of us to experience in some point in our lives. Is, okay, I made this in my house and I was going whatever, something, and or the loop station like you did, and now it has multiple layers of instruments you probably did not imagine will be part of something that you made, you know, with human sounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wow, what is that, man? That's so
crazy, man. Like it was really dope. And that was like one of the first moments, you know, playing in the concert hall with the symphony orchestra, where I felt like, oh, okay, see, Mum, I told you music was a career. Because, you know, up until then they were like, okay, but when are you gonna go and get a real job? And even after the TEDx went like, you know, like gangbusters, they're like, what's a TED-Ed? A TED-Ed? Is that your bit bop and you're still doing that? And so it was cool to like get them to come to a concert in my hometown and you know, play with an orchestra. That was something I would never, in my wildest dreams, have imagined back when I was doing 3 windmills on a cardboard box in a park. You know what I mean? So it's been a really interesting musical experience, learning experience. Definitely a learning experience.
Wow, man. And those who are watching, you do believe in yourselves, man. Do this, because, like, you know, if this can happen, if you can go multi-layered and things and instruments that's been around for ages, they probably didn't know beatboxing could, and or orchestra or anything in particular could even happen. Like, we'll talk about your collaborations as well later on when I said anything. I just to piggyback on what you said, I remember during my somehow TED talk, I had a colleague, and she usually would be like, "Do this, do that. I don't like what you're doing at office." And I'm like, "Why are you making sounds with your mouth?" I'm like, "My parents accept it. I'm cool with that. If you don't like it, it's fine. It's good." I wasn't being rude. I wasn't being rude with her. I would joke around. But the most interesting part was very selective, but very few people came from the people that I knew to the TED Talk. And she was sitting right next to my parents. So they're like, just when it happens and I point out my parents during the TED Talk, she goes like, he works with me. I was like, my parents were telling me, so is this woman? I'm like, yeah, oh, that's what she said. But it was amazing. It was just the feeling. She's like, wow, you do this. But it's, I don't need, I don't think we all need the awards and whatever. Just those moments you go like, all right, I've gone somewhere, I've done something. That's just amazing. My God. But yeah, I'm sure your parents should be super proud. Look at you, man. Like you have inspired. I don't think I can count the number of people they're talking. Some I should read right now. For example, all right. Oh, I remember watching the TED Talk video over and over again and thinking, how can a person do all these without any trouble? Huge respect for you, man.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like, I think people just often see the result of something that you've worked for 10,000 hours on and go, right. Well, it's crazy. So that must be easy. Look how easy this guy's doing it. And so I think that's like one of the great things about what we do, because beatboxers can really appreciate the tonality of different sounds, and like you can hear the hours that people put in just from the definition of their sounds. So I'm glad that's what it looked like on the TED Talk, because oh my God, bro, I spent a lot of time doing that.
Well, the result was amazing, and Pasha pointed this out here. Would you like to take us on a journey through the continents, throughout sounds itself? You're tired. You had a long day, so I wouldn't push you for that.
My voice is kind of like, I've just been trying to do my ratchet face rap over and over and over, and every syllable that I don't get bang on, I'm like, no, I gotta do it again. I gotta capture the energy. So yeah.
Yeah, man. If you want him to do anything, that will happen at the end. So let's give him some rest, because, like he said, a 9-hour shift. Nah, that's a long. But yes, this is for a good cause, because we're gonna get some awesome stuff. And I don't know, here saying your album Ratchet Face, man, it was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I did that album in 2015, and I gave up on it. I hated it because I worked so hard on it. Like throughout the mixing process and throughout the recording process, that by the time it kind of like came to fruition and I had like a final thing in my hands, I was just so tired, man. Like I was like, I don't want to hear it ever again. This is the worst thing. Like, all I heard was the work and not the music. And at Beatbox Camp, MB14 was showing me his album, his EP.
You're right.
And we were just talking about music and things, and we share a lot of common ideas about stuff. And he was like, man, he asked me to, I told him about the EP. I was like, oh yeah, but I gave up on it. It's old. I hate hearing it. Like it took me so long. And he's like, oh man, can I hear it just out of curiosity? And I sent it to him, and he's like, oh dude, you got to put this out. No one else has heard it. You've heard it 10,000 times, but no one else has heard it once. So just like give it a chance. And I hadn't listened to it for like 3 years. And and then I heard it again. I was like, oh man, I do love this. So, like, I remembered the fun things about it, not the laborious things about making it. So
right.
Yeah, I can thank MB14 for like lighting a bit of a fire up under my ass and like going, oh bro, you actually got to put this out. Man, I tell you what, if I just suddenly fade off into obscurity or whatever, if someone raids my hard drive, they will find so much unreleased music. Like, it will be mental. Triple albums.
Right. What is this? What's it? I'm sorry. Why I know a friend here. He goes like, dude, check this album out. And I've been hearing him say that for 7 to 8 years. He plays it over and over and over again. And he's growing as a musician. The album's still there. I'm like, why aren't you dropping this? It's amazing.
I
So,
think
no.
with music, like even snares that I use in those recordings, man, they have a timestamp on it. You know what I mean? Like you can hear a certain level of experience even in the minutiae of like a snare. So for example, like there's snares on that, I go, oh yeah, I was using that snare in 2014 or 2015 and it sounds dated to my ears. To anyone else doesn't, you know, but it's crazy because you use it as an earmark for your success and for your experience as a musician on a personal level. I can always go back and hear my old recordings and go, whoa, that was bad. But like, you know, personally, and I can see how I've experienced and see how I've grown and gotten better. So I can totally understand why someone would sit on an album, especially if you're doing, you know, especially for me, I just like creating music. I don't like releasing music. I just like creating music. I love the process of hearing how things kind of blend together. So the releasing of it is all data and analytics and strategies and marketing and disappointment and, you know, like things like that. So I love the creation of it. And I do love, you know, inspiring people, like comments where people will say, you know, beautiful things like that. But sometimes the birth is less enjoyable than the labor.
But we really hope we can hear some of the stuff out when it does. You know, maybe MB14 could be like, okay, it's time. I need to sit with you again and tell you the song should be out.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Did you ever get this from anyone? When I first saw you, I was like, why does he look like Jim Carrey? Did you ever get this from anyone?
I think maybe like one or two people. Yeah.
So he's the third then. Can you probably he's a master of voices. And Robin Williams.
Like of, you know, facial expressions.
Oh yeah. That's for sure, man.
Yeah, one of the fascinating things that I learned though is that the vocal cords, the muscles surrounding the vocal cords have got more, I want to say like nerve endings or muscular control. This is like something I learned when I was working with the ENT doctor. There are more.
Oh yeah, the series that you did.
Yeah. So like there are more micro. Someone is definitely going to correct me on this, but more micro muscles in this kind of region than there are like controlling all of the kind of movements in the face. And he used Jim Carrey as a reference to like, you know, like explain that point. But yeah, I love Jim Carrey. So thanks.
Man, I would always think he probably has this special, like when he's already then he moves his hand. I'm like, doesn't it snap? What is he doing?
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, exactly. We just do the same thing, but internally.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. You've done a podcast recently with SBX, and someone mentioned something from there. LA, if I can pronounce your name right, Chia Logo. Mm-hmm. I remember you saying in Beyond the Beat that you stopped emceeing so that others can deliver their message with beatboxing. What do you think the community can say about larger issues? Okay, that's deep.
Yeah, oh no, totally, man. It's something that I'm more than happy to speak on, especially being I want to say like a long-term permanent resident of hip hop, but maybe not a citizen of hip hop. You know what I mean? Like for me, I do feel as though, as a white Australian, I'm visiting hip hop, and like you really have to respect the roots of like learn about things. Like you see people like often saying like quite ignorant comments, like young beatboxers might make off cuff remarks that you know, really show a lack of learning and understanding about the roots and history of beatboxing. you know, where it came from, where it, like, from African American culture, like the real, like, deeper stuff. And like with hip hop, it was used to deliver messages of like social justice and things like that. So like I think because beatboxing has taken a fair removal from hip hop culture in the last 20 years or something like that, there isn't such a strong connection to that world anymore. And I think it's important because, you know, we're using sounds more than we're using words. I think it's still very important to stay connected to those issues, to know where it came from. And like, you know, you got to recognize, or you're just, it's like, and it frustrates me when I see people like knowingly pilfer cultural things, because I know that I'm on the edge myself, and you have to be careful and be super respectful about it, man. Like that's one thing that I've learned, and I wish I could have gone back and like really drilled that into like 20-year-old me or something like that. And it's lucky because I came from hip hop culture. I grew up listening to hip hop records and idolizing, you know, black visionaries and people that speak out against things. But you know, still like everyone's very disconnected from the original kind of mainframe of it all. So yeah, man, I think that it's very important to keep the discussion open. People are like, oh, music is for music. Like, keep it out of entertainment. It's like, man, that's, you have a responsibility.
Yes.
So if you think that in your head, you should be like pushing that in your music. You should be pushing that in your persona, in your belief system. Like, you know, I feel very strongly about that.
Right. And something that the discussion that we had with Dougie Fresh was, and I believe this, it's like something we learn in school or anywhere, a book, right? By, you know, for marketing this, for example, there's Philip Kotler, and it's like, oh, the guy who wrote this book, and oh my God, seeing him. But when an individual writes a book or talks about a particular history, the next person gets inspired and listens or understands and probably has his or her take from it, and then it pushes forward and, you know, modifies and gets better or something. So 4, 5, 10, 20 generations later, you're trying to go back and see, where did this come from? You still have to go back to the roots, and it speaks about issues. It speaks about a lot of things. You don't make music if you don't get inspired from these things, if you don't think about these things, if you don't want to speak out, right?
Yeah,
it is very important. That's a very good question, by the way. Thank you for sending that in. My God. Okay, we're getting bombarded with questions. I'll just read a couple of them before we move on to the question. The rest of the podcast. In the Opera House, people came from TED Talk and they got a concert. They're talking about the TEDx one.
Yeah. Whoops. Sorry, everyone. No,
that was a good thing, though.
Yeah.
How was the experience?
It was great, man. Like I said, like I sat there the whole day. And which is funny, everyone's like, oh, why didn't you iron your shirt? And I'm like, I did in the morning. Like I sat in it all day, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy. I was getting so nervous watching people like drop these life-changing ideas on how, you know, like how their slice of inspiration can further the betterment of humanity. And I was just like, I'm gonna make jokes and do some beatboxing. So yeah, I'm glad in some roundabout way it's changed some people's lives, because when I was going up there on stage, man, I was shitting myself because it wasn't my usual crowd. And I saw my friend who's a performance poet, Omar Musa. He went up there and did some poetry, you know, like a couple of talks before I went on, and got a great reception. He
probably came to Bangladesh, Omar Musa.
He
does.
Probably.
Yeah. Spoken. I forgot what it's called. Spoken something. Sorry. Anyways, go on.
Yeah, like a slam poet, spoken word.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of my best mates, man. So like when I saw him do his thing, I was like, oh, cool. It was like a bit easier on me, and I think it probably worked because people, you know, just had used their brains a lot. So it might have been fine to just hear something in their ear that is like universally understandable straight away. So I think there was a perfect storm of kind of conditions that allowed me to really flex at that moment. And I thought of it on the day, man. Like I woke up in the morning. I was like, okay, what can I do? I'll just put that routine with that. Oh, I need to talk about something, so I'll bridge that. I've got to make up some time there and just freestyle it, man. And like, if I had have planned the talk, I know that I would have over-engineered it and it would have sucked. So it was a really great set of circumstances.
Wow. And yeah, look at the ripple effect. This is from Saif Q. He is a guitarist from the band Groove Trap. That's right now in Australia, by the way.
Oh,
and
good.
they're one of the scene changers of Bangladesh, and they literally brought out the lounge scene where you had all these bands perform blues, funk, rock and roll. They were part of that. So it's great to see Tom Thum here. I think he's the perfect example of aspiring new beatboxers to know and hear all kind of music that exists. Broadening of horizons at its best. Cheers, Tom Thum. This is what I like about the podcast, though. You know, so many different people. They're not like beatboxers only.
Yeah, it's nice to like hear from other musicians as well. It's really cool. I super dig that.
Man, wow! I'm still trying to understand. Yes, we're talking to Tom Thum. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tom Thum, by the way. So yeah, in case you're wondering, it's that. Yeah, it is. And I do want to announce quickly, by the way. If you just joined in, remember to know more about Tom Thum in case you don't know, which is still, to me, I'm like, whatever. It's all right. You know, we still have other things we look into. You can check out his social media, which you'll find later on in the description. And B, ask the right or the most interesting question or share an experience, something that is like, I don't know, we can probably randomly pick someone here or a couple of you to come and talk to Tom Thum right here in the podcast later on in the end of the podcast. All right. Okay. Yes, a question that I wanted to ask, something that Rough Techniques is asking is, did you have any musical knowledge when you first started beatboxing? And what would you tell the beatboxers about acquiring music knowledge for their routines, tracks for their future?
Yeah. So I had no musical knowledge at all. Like not even the slightest shred, man. Like I knew that I liked music, obviously, but it was like a love of hip hop that kind of pushed me into music. And acquiring musical knowledge, man, I just learnt through doing it, man. Like through putting myself in really uncomfortable situations where I had to learn really quickly. Like advice that I would say straight away is just, as soon as you can, start playing with other people. I wish 15 years ago I had started performing in ensembles and performing with other musicians to get my pitch right, to get my my timing right. Like my timing sucks, man. Like if I'm just playing with like one person, it's okay because we can kind of flow in a bit. But like having to play with an orchestra, you'll figure out really badly if you've got bad time, really quickly if you've got bad timing. So that's one thing that I've been really trying to improve. In terms of like technical knowledge, I still don't know. Like I do everything by ear, basically. I can't read music or anything like this. I couldn't tell you what chord I'm playing or anything like that. It's all just, oh, that sounds good. Give it a crack. There you go.
And you're working with an orchestra right now, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's weird, man. Like the conductor and I, we have a completely different language to the language that he uses with the orchestra. Like when he's talking to them, it's like, okay, so I want this one in Porcini, Tagliatelle. You'll sing this in Tomato, and he's just like, do the bit with the, and then you've got, it's like totally different languages, and it's hard for me. It's hard, man. Yeah, it's hard. I would say like straight away start playing with other people. You don't have to play. You don't have to be the solo beatboxer when you're playing in an ensemble. Like, give it space. There's room for that all the time. But when you're playing in a group, you're not in a battle. You just have to like complement everybody else in the group as well, which was one of the hard things about playing with an orchestra, because you have to really selectively choose the layers that you want to perform.
Man, you hit right on spot with this message. I think the best way to break the taboo about beatboxing is to start with a collaboration. Bangladeshi beatboxers will get a huge confidence boost. So let's talk about collabs as well. And one of the recent ones you did, which was out of the many, is the one with Gene. That was like,
man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell us about the collabs. Tell us about some of the tracks.
Yeah, so like we flew to Berlin. It was me, Saro, Mohammed, and Gene. I first met Gene at Beatbox Camp in 2018. And I love his style, man. Like, he's so musical, and he's just such a chill, laid back guy. Like, you can tell he's a muso that his instrument is beatboxing. So it was really nice to just sit in the room with him. And, you know, a lot of beatbox compositions now, because I guess a lot of it is focused around battles. So there have to be these big blow up moments and like big kind of moments where the crowd goes, oh, you know, like the drops, and it's so centered around that. It was really nice to just take our time and chill out and just create something nice together that complemented both of our styles. And we practiced the shit out of it, man. Like, oh my God, so much time. We just worked on it. And it was such a great experience, man. I can't thank SPX and Papuni and all the whole team enough for that. Because, we came out of it with something that I was really proud of.
All right. Something before I do want to bring in something, someone actually. The person that just asked him, just gave the message, Pritham Hassan, who is one of the prominent young musicians and music producers in the country right now, and he's kicking toot literally with the beats that he drops. So I would like to bring him on screen, and this is Pritham Hassan. What's up?
What's up, man?
Hey, Tom. How are you, man?
I'm good, brother.
Never thought I would actually have a conversation with you. Thanks, Beatboxer. You're the best.
Oh,
thanks,
thank
man.
you, cheers.
So Pritham,
I just wanted to,
yeah, go on.
Please.
Go on. Sorry, there was a
No,
lag.
you go on. I'm just too excited.
proceed.
You know, I'm just talking.
No, it's okay.
I'm like, I'm shaking.
We're getting super crazy as well. So Pritham, the floor is yours. Talk to Tom.
Yeah. So as we know, beatboxing scenario, it changed in last few years. It was not in, I would say it existed before 4 to 5 years, but Beatboxo, the guy you're talking, Tom, is the guy who actually moved. He's the movers and the shakers of the beatboxing right now in Bangladesh, because he's been doing so many works, and he did a lot of competitions and like submissions about beatboxing. So a lot of young people got inspired to join in, and I think Tom played the biggest role in terms of inspiring the young beatboxers. Everyone that I try to talk with, or anyone that I met, who's involved in beatboxing, they always straight up say your name, like Tom, we always avoid him. So yeah, what I was saying, like, the breaking, even for my last project, I tried my level best to include a beatboxer in my music video, and Beatboxer actually knew about it. The crowd is not that friendly with beatboxing. They are starting to know it, as a few years ago, hip hop started to pop up, and it just blew up in a few years. And so I'm just waiting for the explosion to take on. Like, I know that someday, something big's gonna happen, and the whole scenario is gonna be changing about beatboxing.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, like, even here, a lot of people still consider it a gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be more people that are really, there's so many undiscovered, incredible beatboxers that are out of the general public's eye. You know what I mean? Like, guys that you and I would know that are incredible, that like my mum or old mate down the road wouldn't have a clue about, that are incredible musicians. And I think it's just like testament to the fact that people often need to step outside their comfort zone and to start collaborating and, start finding projects where they can reach out to a different audience, man. Because that literally changed my life, is being exposed to people that wouldn't know about beatboxing or didn't appreciate it for the musical possibilities, I guess.
All right.
I think this is the right time because we are all looking into a cultural system that is more dependent on the gimmicks and memes. So the memes, they're like taking on in my country as well in the social media. People love the gimmick part. Like when you put something very really spicy there, when you put something ordinary, they're like, nah, it's a normal song. But when there's something really unique involved, people just dive in straight away.
Yeah.
So Beatbox should continue, please.
I wanted to bridge this between Tom and you, Pritham, is like, for example, the globalization and the internet making it much easier for us. Like for this to happen, just look at this, man. This is amazing.
Oh man,
And
it's blowing my mind. I still remember I watched like a halfway of Tom's TEDx talk, the interview one. I was like, every night I used to lay down like this and I put my phone in front of me, like holding on a pillow. And I still remember I watched half one night. The next night I watched the other half because I didn't have time because I was making professional music production for other people. So I always kept that part inside me, where I wanna do something really unique with these amazing people, amazing musicians, and globally there are so many things which are still untapped and undiscovered.
right.
Yeah, totally, man. And like, the thing is, beatbox, like I mentioned before, there's so many beatboxers that are just like generally super musical people, but might not know because they don't have access to their instruments that they can become virtuosos on. So like there are so many beatboxers that have just decided to be musically virtuosic, with their face. And like there's probably thousands, if not millions of people out there that have the same untapped potential. So it's like, it's really cool to see, like, I guess one of the positive things about globalization is showing that it's possible.
Yeah. One thing I really want to pop in quick is, see, Pritham works with various types of genres in a place. Well, and he's growing, and there's so much that we are, we're still waiting to see from him. And like you said, there are musicians with lots of stuff that's in store in their studio and the PC. This guy definitely has a lot of that. But with your experience, Tom, the countries that you visited, the type of sounds that you've heard from different places, and how you portrayed it in the TEDx as well. But getting out of that, you've been to India, you've been to the European countries, you've toured with the duo project that you have, and other places at the same time. So how do you think we can grow over here? Because, for example, we would love to see a moment where a lot of local musicians get to tour abroad and actually gain knowledge. So if you could drop a couple of advices for us as beatboxers, and of course Pritham here, who's doing excellent work in music production, if you could say a few things.
Yeah, of course, man. So the thing that has really given me, I guess, a musical passport has been collaboration, being open to collaborating with people and never saying no. Like, I've done collaborations with folk musicians in Rajasthan. Like, that was super dope. Like orchestras in Lithuania, mob in South Africa, like heaps of stuff, man. Like, people often think about like beatboxing is it's limited to contemporary music, but it's totally not, man. It's just you expressing whatever musical style you want. You don't have to do EDM. You don't have to do like trap stuff. You can do whatever. Like, gravitate, learn. Like, that's how you increase your palette. Is like, like I wouldn't have learned about different time signatures if it wasn't for Indian classical or playing with orchestras. I wouldn't have learned about dissonant harmonies if I hadn't been listening to Bulgarian choral music. You know what I mean? Like there's often people in Australia have got a very Western, closed-minded approach to music when there's just like so much out there. So I would say explore collaborations that you might think impossible. Like find the weirdest thing you can and just drill it. If you're in a group with say 2 people that are just keen to do something amazing, it's going to be amazing. There's like no doubt about it. Like if you're invested in it and passionate about it, like the fruits of your labor will be delicious.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. This will like work like a Bible for me, to be honest, because for us, that I actually share the same dream kind of with Beatboxer. We always a little number of musicians in my country. We always see that dream where we have Bangladeshi musicians who's also representing their culture. They're collaborating with the international and Western artists. So what happens, like when we see a lot of collaboration that's only limited to South Asia region, I guess, but we really want to explore really more because baul music, which is the folk music here, it has tremendous amount of versatility and the time flow, time signatures. It's just insane. We someday, to be honest, I personally someday feel like, Tom, you should, visit my country sometimes. You're welcome to stay in my house. My mom really cooks delicious food, even though I'm not sure if you're okay with the masala or not.
Oh
So,
man.
yeah.
Yeah, dude,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
And just in addition to my last point, like we have most of the world is connected with the internet, like especially with beatboxers. Like there's a substantial amount of us that are online. I hope that people like reach out to an Inuit folk singer in Alaska. You know what I mean? Like
Oh my God. Yeah.
it
Completely.
is a connected world. You don't have to go like, oh, I'm going to try and hit up Skrillex and do a collaboration. Like there's so many different outlets for art and people often overlook some of the most interesting ones. So yeah.
Nice.
Man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you.
No
Thank
worries.
you. It's just my whole quarantine for the last 2 or 3 months I've been really going through a lot because the music industry and everything, all the industries like right now is just collapsing and it's just scrapping back because of the financial system. So this was a huge confident boost for me. Thank you so much, Tom.
No worries, man.
I'm just speechless, to be honest. Thank you, Beatboxer, for arranging me this such an amazing conversation. Thank you, guys.
Man, please send me the music. I'd love to hear it.
Yes,
I'll drop you.
I think he can drop few links. Beatboxer, can you
I'll
please?
send you some of the tracks.
He can listen to it.
Yeah, you should.
Good.
It's dope.
Thank you
It's
so
dope.
much. It has been such an honor. Thank you. You're welcome to stay in my home. Say again.
Oh, man. Thank you, brother.
All right, Preetham.
All right.
Thank you so much,
See you later,
bro.
man.
Speak to you later, bro.
See
Yeah.
you.
And on that note, by the way, Tom, we would love to have you over for one of our events soon. And obviously we're in touch, and so I will get in touch with you. Hopefully, when this entire system, the whole thing, pandemic goes away. Yeah. My God. Anyways, so guys, whoever wants to probably see Tom in the future in one of the BattleBox BDs, would you want that? Do drop a message. And whoever just joined in right now, this is going super awesome, but I don't really want to take much of Tom's time. There is a bit more time that I would like to share with you as well. Not just me, actually, a lot of people, because I haven't read a lot of messages. They're dying to have them read. And with your permission, Preetham was here, so I'll just bring in a couple more, but later on, not now. I don't want to interrupt it at the moment. Something that I wanted to ask as well, it's great that Preetham mentioned that as well, and how the industry is going right now. So as beatboxers, our outlets and the stuff that we work on, it's a bit different. It's different, but then again, we are also processing. We're also trying to make new places to implement beatboxing, for example, how should I put it? It isn't just something live that we do on streets. It's being used in other genres and collaborations, as you mentioned, and stuff. But the industry is it's not going through a good time. Yes, comparatively, based on other physical products, the industry here is open on the internet, where we can actually share music, which is good. It's great. But like Australia is open at the moment, and you actually have that possibility of going and meeting the orchestra and working on the stuff that you're doing. But if you had to say something about that.
Yeah, of course. We're still in restrictions, so we're still not allowed to hang out. So even though my state has only, I think, 3 cases of corona at the moment, but
right.
Melbourne just had another outbreak, so they're closing up. I think they're closing the borders again, and there's still a lot of restrictions. But I have been able to collaborate on small projects, which has been nice to have, because I really love being in a room with someone where you can turn to them and go, oh, what do you think about this? Maybe we just try this thing, and they can hear it straight away in real time in full fidelity. But that being said, man, everyone's at home at the moment, and all the musicians that I'd love to collaborate, not many people have got gigs. So a lot of people have got a lot of time on their hands, which is great for creating. Even though the first month and a half of it, 2 months, I just didn't feel like it, man. I'd lost every single one of my tours, didn't have anything coming, like everyone, man, everyone's in the same boat. So I was just moping around the house, really depressed, and just oh man, it wasn't an environment that was conducive to being creative. I didn't feel it flowing out of me. When I got into the studio, I was like, okay, I can do all this work, but what for? No one buys music anymore. It felt like a futile exercise. But the last month or so, I've been feeling it coming back. I've been really enjoying being at home and spending time with my girlfriend, and giving myself dedicated work days. Okay, this is your job. As much as you don't like to call it a job, this is how I earn money. So I'm going to go, even though I'm not earning money at the moment, I'm going to just make sure that my work ethic is on point, and I'm going to the studio, get in there at 8 a.m., finish at 5 or 6 p.m., and I go home and I chill out. I leave my laptop in the studio and really try and treat it like a profession and a career, because I think the musicians sometimes are their own worst enemies and their own worst bosses, because we do what we love. It's really hard to give yourself a day off, because on my day off, so I'm like, oh, I want to make some music, and then there you are. You know what I mean? It's a weird kind of cycle. So
wow. But what we're actually stuck at times. We're kind of, how we the writers have the writer's block, and in this situation especially, if you could tell a quick advice on how you deal with these, you're moping around, should I do this, and whatever is happening. But when you kind of get stuck, but you can do a few more things, maybe find some inspiration. How do you deal with it, or how would you advise someone to face that, or try to overcome?
Okay, well, a couple of things that I do. Firstly, I give it space. If there's something that I'm just trying to work on and it's just not happening, I just close the project, give it a few days, then come back to it. And if it's not, and if it feels like I'm forcing it again after that amount of time, it's probably not worth forcing it, because if you can't put passion into your output, then it feels disingenuous, and it doesn't feel real. And I think that's one of the most important emotions you're trying to convey with creating music. It would be different if you're creating jingles. You kind of it's very formulaic, and there's ways to go about it. But I would say when you're creating music for yourself, if you're just stuck in a rut, just go and do something else. I I connect with nature a lot. I'm fortunate that I live maybe like 40 minutes out of a big city in an area where I've got like an acre and a half. There's trees, there's birds, I live on the river, and it's like nice. I can just if I get frustrated, I just walk down to the river and, you know, watch the birds and things like that. And I like hiking, man. So like I go on 2 or 3 day hikes up through the national park, and it's awesome, man. Like it's just a complete polar reset. You know, no one's taking monitors or sound cards out into the middle of nowhere, unless you're doing to create nature sounds. But
well, yeah.
But which
yes,
I love. So
space is necessary, and also that time probably listen to something new. And as you said, nature itself is music, to be honest.
Yeah.
And there's so much that you can find from it. Mir Samiha wrote, with what I'm really curious about is how did you manage to beatbox without gagging, with all those microphone and cameras shoved up on your throat by Dr. Matthew Broadhurst on the TED Talk from 1 year ago. Nevertheless, it was mind-blowing to see all those things happening inside. Yeah, it was.
Well, let me tell you a little something about discomfort. That was so painful. Like the way that we had to make it work, man, it was crazy. Like I came up with this idea, and I was sitting in a bar in Brazil, and there was these old fellas there, and I was talking to them, and they were asking me how I do like a bass noise. Like I think it was like like a low bass, and they were like, "Oh, what are all those? You know, how are you getting that growling sound?" And I had no idea. So I decided that I wanted to do a project with a ENT doctor and actually see what was going on. Then when I did that, I was like, "Well, this would be a really interesting TED Talk if I can pull it off without throwing up in my lap." Turns out it's really hard to pull off without throwing up in your lap. The thing is,
the live audience.
Yeah. And so, like, I calculated that I need to put the anesthetic in my nose 6 minutes before I put the camera in my nose, because as soon as you put the anesthetic in there for the camera to go down, it numbs everything in the back of your throat. So like it feels like you've got a golf ball in there, and you can't beatbox, man. Like a lot of my style isn't drums, you know what I mean? It's a lot of vocal techniques and things like that. So it felt alien. Like I felt like I didn't know how to do anything because it was totally numb. So I figured out that if I left it 6 minutes before I did the performance part where the camera was in my nose, it would be numb enough that it didn't hurt when the camera was like jabbing the back of the throat. But it would, you know, like, but it wouldn't be numb enough that I couldn't perform. So I tried to time it well, and I didn't. And the whole time I was performing, I could feel it going like ding, ding, ding. Because, you know, I'm trying to sit there in the chair, like, be as still as I can. But beatboxers can't sit still when you're beatboxing, man. Everyone's like, you know, like everyone's just crazy hands all the time. And so the camera just kept on going like ding, 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 ding. And it was very painful. It was hard. I don't recommend it.
Oh, man. Wow. But still, it was an experience, and, you know, no pain, no gain. I don't know if that's the right thing to say here.
No gain structure.
Oh, man.
No gain. So, yeah,
wow.
It was a very detailed process. I went in there like 3 times, and we talked about what was cool and like what's actually going to look good on camera. And then, you know, like it's all good to say that it's going to look good on camera, but in a live performance environment, there's so many variables. The first time that we performed that talk was in the talk. You know, we didn't get a chance to run the experiment on the stage before we did it. So the very first time I did the talk was on stage in front of 5,000 people. So it was insane.
Wow, man. What an experience. Wow.
Yeah.
The definitely something for the grandkids. Hey, listen. So I did this, and check this.
Yeah.
Check your daddy out. Check your granddaddy out.
Hey, look at
Like-
me young, healthy vocal cords, kids. Like, this is what it used to look like.
Grandpa, why are you like this? Why are you so weird? I like it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's cute now.
This is something I wanted to ask, and I love the fact that people are asking these questions. And
Mhm.
I have a subcontinent. There are two questions I'll ask. They're from two different people, but they're pretty much the same or close by. I have a subcontinental musical background, and I want to be a looper someday or a loop station artist. What advices can you give me as a loop station artist yourself? And on the same note, what is the reason that you are more into looping rather than a solo beatboxer? So that
Yeah,
kind of
so-
like go one further.
Yeah, of course. So, man, it's a common misconception. Like a lot of people often consider me a looper, but I don't really have that many pieces that I enjoy looping live. Like I'm not like Saro, where I can do an hour-long set of my compositions. I just love the way that layers of the voice interact with each other. I would consider myself a producer that sometimes performs live with a loop station as the vessel to kind of push that forward, because I just I'm not a technical beatboxer at all, so I just love leaving space in each layer for the subsequent layer to flourish. I really like being able to use like polyrhythms and dissonant harmony and things that you couldn't do as just a solo beatboxer. I really enjoy, composing things and hearing how all the different frequencies work together. That's like one of the biggest challenges when I started out looping, was choosing the right layers that weren't conflicting. Because in your voice, beatboxers, we're very lucky because we can reach a whole lot of different frequencies. You just have to choose which of those frequencies are complementary to each other when you're building something. Like if you've got something with a lot of high frequencies building on top of each other, it's going to sound piercing to the ear. So that was one of the hardest things that I had to kind of conquer when I was starting, was choosing succinct and efficient layers and just really rehearsing everything that I wanted to do straight away to make sure it was measured. Because if I one of the problems about looping, man, is that if you make a bad loop, you're going to hear it over and over and over. And the thing is, like, I'm really sensitive to incorrect pitch, but I'm really bad at hitting the correct pitch. So if I if I try something too ambitious, I'll just hear like layers of,
it'll keep hitting back. It'll keep hitting back.
And it makes my skin crawl. So you have to be very decided, very like confident about the layers you want to use. That's talking from my perspective, and that's like my process to looping and layering, and also why I like looping and layering more than being a solo beatboxer.
Man, and this is usually like I said, misconception. Like they're always thinking like that, but so many ways to beatbox right now, and you kind of what we have known from the old school is just, that you're just one individual and you would make the sounds that's humanly possible. As it grew, and you have now loop station and going like this, and you have all the instruments that you started adding up and orchestra and so on and so forth. So it's actually elaborating and going into different sectors and stuff like that. And as you mentioned about the part where you hear that part, the pitch and everything, and you kind of like, I did this show where I'm like, guys, so I'm going to do something. I know you're not used to it. I'm going to make music on the spot. I'll make it with my own mouth. They're like, okay. So I couldn't get them to be quiet. That was tough. So every minute I would loop something, they'll be, hey, I'm like, it was horrible. Bad experience, man.
Yeah. So another thing, touching on that I would recommend is finding the right right microphone for the kind of looping that you want to do.
Right.
I'm not sure whether the person that commented uses microphones or plugged into line inputs or anything like that. But yeah, like I use a Sennheiser E945 and it's got a really small capsule, which I find is really good for cupping and it doesn't get too much like, ambient noise. I used
just till this much, just that
Yeah,
area, right?
Yeah. I used to have an AKG D5, like one of the Beatbox battle ones, which was a great mic for solo because it was so like bottom heavy. But as soon as you got into an environment where there was a low roof or something,
Yeah.
the bass would just come back into it. And it would be hard, man. If you're trying to stack layers, it'd just be.
Oh, that
And
just hits you so hard.
Yeah.
That's just, man. Wow. Yes. So I hope, Mahi, that answers your question. So I actually wanted to continue the medical part that we were discussing, but then the loop station question came in, and you actually helped everyone go through one thing really important. Is when we started the stuff with Beatbox Bangladesh, the community, we would always get calls from parents. Come here, I need to talk to you. Yes. What is it about? What are you making my son do? What's this thing that he's doing? Why is he making weird sounds with his mouth? And we have to explain to the parents. And there would be an uncle or someone who would like, listen, this is medically, this is wrong. The doctors, they're gonna tell you this is wrong. Then we would be like, okay, so there's this video by Thum. Check this out. They're like, is this part of our body? What?
Yeah.
We'd be like, thank you, Thum. Just made our day.
Yeah.
And those videos helped us.
Yeah. So I would say, though, although the doctor didn't find anything that was going on with my vocal cords, that's very specific to the way that I use my voice. Some people might be doing it's the fact that he found nothing wrong there is not to say that it's completely safe. Mm-hmm. I would say that if something starts hurting, rest. It's not worth getting nodules or damaging your vocal cords if you're wanting to do this for a long time. Be very careful. Don't be cavalier.
No, definitely. And it's like literally exercising your muscles. Your voice, the everything that's around your face, they're not used to the things that you're doing. It needs to, you guys need to be buddies, you guys, I'm watching your back. I'll watch your back too. That's how it works, literally. But that's what we had to explain to the parents, that, so this is happening. I understand this is new. Just like you probably have to understand how it is, the body needs to understand. So give it some time. And we found good beatboxers that way. It helped, but the video was a boost in some way.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's studied by science at least a little bit. Yeah. That's part of the reason why I did it, because I looked for ages about studies for this kind of thing, and there was hardly anything. There wasn't many studies on the negative effects or whether it's damaging or what's actually going on, like the sublingual structures that beatboxers use. There wasn't, we don't use our voice in traditional ways. It was a very understudied thing. So I was just stoked, man, to be able to I think get my hands in there early. Well, he got his hands in there early, that's for sure.
And of course, on that note, would you continue or would you make something like this in future if you possibly could explore more? This is what Gialogo, if that's his name, said. Any other plans to do something related to beatboxing, but not necessarily musical, like your science-related series?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do more Live from the Larynx stuff, but with other beatboxers as well, because I'm limited to the sounds that I can make, but there's a whole bunch of different techniques. I'd love to see what inward space looks like through a laryngoscope. I think that'd be crazy, man. I think there's a lot of in fact, maybe there's a video of Villain doing it or something like that. But I'd definitely love to do that. I think is do another Live from the Larynx with other beatboxers, like an exploratory kind of thing. Also, testing frequency ranges is something that I did do a whole episode on, different mic techniques, recording techniques for beatboxers. But my hard drive, I didn't back up a hard drive, and I left it on top of a speaker one night, and the magnet erased the contents of the hard drive. So I lost the whole episode of Live from the Larynx because I was an idiot and didn't back up my hard drive and then fried it. So yeah, I would definitely love to do more science-based stuff for sure.
Okay, then I hope we can get something in as well, and hopefully within time. That's because you're taking in projects. There's a lot of things that you're trying to work on, and hopefully, with that peace of mind, you can move forward. As much as I wanted to ask you questions, and people are actually asking the questions that I wanted to, and it's hitting home. So
yeah, no worries.
This one is two questions once again, but they're also pretty close. So Miyusami is asking, who's your favorite beatboxer that not many people know about and should definitely know? A. And B, nobody still asked about your inspiration. Who was it?
Okay, all right. So beatboxers that maybe not many people know about, but should know about. Oh, that's a good question. There's a beatboxer from Brisbane called Tempo. She's really good, super musical, and I'm sure she's going to make an impact very soon. She just recently won a couple of battles in Brizzy, and is like top-notch beatboxer. Lucrative as well, for another guy from Australia who's really musical and tries a whole lot of different things. He's really great. Other beatboxers. Oh, man, put me on the spot.
They'll be like, "Hey, Tom, why didn't you mention my name?"
I'm like trying to find my secret stash of beatboxers that I can give away. But all the guys that I really love, a lot of people already know about. There was some really. I judged. I judged a battle recently for the American champs guys, American beatbox mob, and that was really great, man. There was a lot of online video submissions that people sent in, and it was really cool.
The Odyssey battle.
Odyssey OSB, yeah.
Yeah.
And man, some of the Japanese entries, that was so good. There were a lot of other guys that absolutely killed it. I think Grizzy from Mexico, he had crazy sounds, man. And then all the Japanese guys. And I'm gonna sound like a wanker because I can't remember everyone's specific names, but man, I reckon it's they were really impressive, man. Some of the clarity and technicality, and it was really good. So I think Japan will be dominating the world stage next time.
The powerhouse, yeah.
Dudes that are 18, 19, were just crazy good, man. Koei's mental, anyways, when you're blowing a beatboxer's mind, that's the next level compliment. And there were so many videos in these submissions that I was just from guys I'd never heard of or heard much from. So yeah. And what was the other question?
Your inspiration.
Yeah, good question. So I'm guessing beatboxing inspirations. So I'll just answer that. The first time that I ever heard beatboxing step to the front was Razel. That crazy make the Razel was just mind blowing when I was a little kid. I heard that and it was mental because it was the first time I've heard a beatboxer take the forefront and be the main part of the show, as opposed to kick the beats for the MCs. So that was a big inspiration for me. And then like, I don't know, man, like people have played a lot of integral roles over time. So I wouldn't say that there's been like one person that's been like the definitive inspiration for me. But guys like Ball Z, like when I heard Ball Z beatbox for the first time, I'd never heard anyone that clean. Like it was crazy, like, precise and clean sounds. You know, the first time I heard Napalm at the World Champs in 2015 was mental as well. D-Lo, incredible. Dani, I love Dani's stuff, like so musical. Beatty Man, when I first heard Beatty Man stuff. Killer Keller, like back in the day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many, dude. But like realistically, a lot of my inspiration just comes from silence, man. Like just being away from music because I'm hearing it all the time. Like it's harder to find a piece
specific.
That's really stands out in a sea of amazing musicians. Whereas if you're sitting by yourself in silence and you come up with a melody and you keep singing that melody, you're like, oh, well, that's got to be something I can work on. So a lot of the time just being surrounded by things that isn't music is often a place where a lot of my inspiration comes from. Yeah.
Right. And on that note, something that Firebras and Dougie Fresh and everyone else, D-Cross, they were all discussing. We were talking about it. And something interesting that happened was it wasn't the word copy, but the word was more like inspiration. As you mentioned, it's lucrative, okay, doing his stuff. Then Razel did whatever he did. Then you're walking down the park and you're hearing a bird. And you're like, okay, that sound, right? And you're like, oh, wait, did I just... Okay. So you kind of picked up on everything that you've heard. It's not like 100% inspiration, but just kind of like a, like a poke. Yeah. And if something inspires you, and then you carry a tune like, I heard a 2 and a 2 today. Why don't I add a 10? And this is what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. The misconception that happens is that you just copied that thing. No, you didn't. So what would you have to say in kind of filtering that and pointing out as to what inspires you to create something in the first place? I know we were talking about, I love walking to, I love, say, going to a garage and suddenly hear the car go ting, ting, ting. That probably starts you like, hey, I could go home and do this on the loop station. But how do you actually, what starts it? And how can you work on it?
Yeah, I guess just things that I really gravitate towards things that are unfamiliar to me. Or, like especially like working with weird scales or weird time signatures and things like that. Like, because I'm not very good at it, that's the thing that makes me want to try extra hard to find a way in my novice kind of approach to it to make it work. So I guess like hearing things that are a bit out of the ordinary, like, for example, if you're like closing the door on your clothes dryer and you notice there's a polyphonic tone or something like that. Like, it's weird, man. Like this morning I woke up and because it was cold and when my girlfriend turned the shower on, the pipes in the wall went like, and I was like, oh, imagine if I pitched that down 12 dB and like put it in 4/4, like you'd have some weird polyrhythms going like against the groove and
right,
like things like that, dude. Like things where you're like shocked by a little counter-contextual musical happening. Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that like really triggers me, and I do a lot of Foley recording and soundscape recording where I'll just go out with a Zoom or something like that and find sounds in nature and see what happens if I pitch them down, and like finding new rhythms in a suitcase rolling across tiles and things like that. So there's music in everything, man. It's like
you sound sample in your mind and in the devices that you carry. Like you did in Dubai, I believe.
Sharjah. Yeah, Dubai. Yeah. So I do that all the time, that kind of stuff, man. Like there was one project that I did called Word to Spread, which was I recorded it over 3 years in, you know, like tens of different countries. I want to say hundreds, but I'm not that well traveled, but a lot of different places. And the thing that made it amazing, well, not amazing, I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but like the thing that made it really cool for me was all the atmospheric sounds that made their way into the recordings, because, you know, like sometimes I'd just have my iPhone and have to use that to record, or sometimes I'd have like a XY microphone on the end of my Zoom, and it would be catching the sound of a waterfall or a ship's foghorn in a fjord in Norway, like things like that. So it's tonality, man, like changing fidelity and in sound and things like that really excites me. Grain and impurities.
Man, if we can only express how these things make us go like, wow, you know, I do this because we have I believe you've experienced this in India, is the three-wheelers, the sort of taxis they have over there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you got on one, but we had a type here at a recent time, but we changed into a completely different type of transportation. But the driver, he would go kind of like pull a thing and go like that. And then the sound at the back, and the little me, I would be like, and my uncle would be like, what's wrong with your kid? What is he trying to do? What's this thing that he always does when he gets on taxis? And I would love it when a car horn would go, I'm like, oh man, that was on point. I'm like, you're going crazy.
We got this thing. You standing at the traffic lights or something, you'd hear the and they'd be like,
oh man. Especially each car have different count when it's the light. And you're like, that's a bit faster. If only they synced. Oh, damn it. I could beatbox right in between. It's an experience.
There'd be a lot of polyrhythms happening in cities that people would just, exactly. That people would just be like not in tune to. One of my neighbor is an auto mechanic. Like he worked in the army fixing, you know, vehicles and things like that. And I had no idea that tuning an engine literally meant like adjusting. Like you can hear the hertz of the engine like rolling. He was like, that's in tune. That's about right. Like it blew my mind. I just assumed that it meant something else. But I mean,
for all the car mechanics and the car enthusiasts, that's music. Because the old Mercedes, I could understand because they had a sound when they would go by. I'm like, I think that's a recent model. Just certain cars have the certain distinctive sounds, and it's amazing. It's beautiful. I'm not a car enthusiast, but it's sound. That intrigues me, and I'm sure it does it to you as well. I have a few more questions before we go to the end of the podcast. I don't want to keep you. I know you have had a long day, but the viewers don't want to let you go because, oh my God, we got Thum. So I'll try my best to concise it as much as possible.
No worries.
As you were saying about the sound sampling, picking up on all the stuff that you do and everything at the same time. As you do a lot of looping and producing stuff, this is by Riham. How do you mix master your music? Like we right now don't have loop station, and it's quite expensive. We can't really get it in shops in Bangladesh. So,
oh man, it's expensive here too, bro. Like I haven't bought a new one since I smashed mine in India. So like, I feel you. Sorry, can you? What was the? Sorry, continue the question.
No, it's literally about how for him, what's accessible to him is what he has in his phone, the Fruity Loops mobile version. So you know, whatever bits and pieces we can do, we are trying. Like I used to borrow guitars to play in a band. Now I own guitars. So you do have that transition phase where you're trying to do something. So for them, it's like that. So what advice would you give for beginners to start working on beatboxing, mixing and all? And how do you do it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think one of the most important things you can do is, one, not be too hard on yourself. And two, use reference mixes. If I'm mastering something or if I'm mixing something, I'll have a reference track that I want it to sound like. Not necessarily musically want it to sound like, but fidelity-wise, I want it to be clear like this, or, you know, like punchy like that. I will A and B. I'll listen to mine, then I'll listen to theirs, then I'll listen to mine, I'll listen to theirs. I'll realize that I have far less experience than the other person, and then I'll be kind of happy to accept where I'm at and just put it out. And I think you just learn over time, man. Like there's no short course option. I mean, sure, there is probably plenty of short course options, but there's no like shortcut that I can take.
Tom, I think you're breaking up here. I'm not sure if they can hear you. I hope the internet's all right though. Crap. Anyways, this is episode 26 of Beats with Baksho, and most probably Tom just got disconnected. He'll probably come back in just a little bit. We'll try to bring him in and see what's up, and hopefully he'll come back in. It's all right. So let me tell you quickly what to do and what's up. Let's see. Yeah, he got stuck. Anyways, those who are here right now watching me and watching my face at the moment, Tom's isn't here. He's trying to get back in. The internet's a bit... Anyways, hope you can hear the audio properly. Hope everything sounds just right on your end. And tell me if it's frozen or if it's not working. Of course, the internet's a bit troublesome right now. Let's see if everything's fine and everything's great. Right. So once again, we are super stoked. Thum is here. We are super excited that this is happening. And I also want to mention that you guys can definitely get a chance. I'm just going to bring in 2 more people, but we'll make it very short. And one of you or 2 of you in 2 separate times in the next few minutes will be here getting to talk to Tom the moment he comes back again. Let's see if we can hear him. And hopefully we can bring him back and get to talk to him on this. And so the internet's a bit troublesome at time. Sorry about that. Once again, shower some love and tell us about the experiences that you had with Tom and how you feel. There's so much to do and so much that you can learn from, say, Thum, or you've learned from him. So let me know and let me get in touch with Tom to get him right here and see what's up. Right. All right. So once again, the messages are coming in. This is weird. I'm sorry. Once again, I guess maybe somehow the internet got disconnected on his side. So I'm trying to get him back right here. And it's, yeah. Shobar message amra porchi, and it's a lot of good messages, by the way. Ellie, if I got your name right, you're brilliant messages. Thank you. Very detailed, and some of the questions that you asked were absolutely amazing. So at the same time, what I'll do is we have an announcement to make. By the time Tom joins in, I will make that announcement, and those who follow us on Beatbox Bangladesh, you'll get to know something's about to pop out, and for that, I'll bring in Hanex. Let's see what Hanex has to say as well. So it's about Streetwise Beatbox Battle. We have just started working on some amazing stuff. And while Tom is coming back, we'll talk with Hanex over here, and he will explain to you what this entire thing is about. So Streetwise Beatbox Battle, it's going to be online. And সবচেয়ে interesting part হচ্ছে the top 2 will actually get to go straight to BattleBox BD 2020. Hopefully, by the time this pandemic gets down and everything gets worked with, everything's fine and all. Right. So while Tom's trying to get in, I'm sorry once again this happens. And yeah, thanks. I was on during. Yes, you were there. Yes, thank you. I just finished your BoxCon. You are doing great, Beatbox. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you, and shout out to your community as well for beatboxing, all the amazing stuff that you do. And I'm waiting for Hanex and everyone else to come in. So by the time Tom pops in, we'll of course get to know more about him and everything that's happening. So Streetwise Beatbox Battle, if you want to know more, check out Beatbox Bangladesh. There is information. It has to be at least 2 minutes, but not way more than 2.5 minutes. And make sure when you introduce yourself, it has to be just a bit of that and not inside the 2 minutes. I know it sounds a bit confusing. It's simple. Hi, I'm Beatboxo, and this is a wildcard video for Streetwise Beatbox Battle Level 1. And then you beatbox. That should be around 2 minutes minimum. And of course, make sure it's horizontal, not vertical. You can mix the audio if you want, but please don't go high on the glitch effects and everything. We need to see you. A lot of people sometimes cover their eyes or their faces. That's not what we want. You need to be there on it. It is open for any male, female. There is no gender specific anything. Beatbox is beatbox. It doesn't choose genders. Do understand that. And of course, let me make this clear, is Streetwise Beatbox Battle is only for Bangladeshis. Yes, it's not an international battle. Like I mentioned, the top 2 goes to the Battlebox 2020. So yes, that's how it works. Anyways, well, by the time Hanex comes here, we'll try to get in and see what's up. Tom probably got disconnected. And so, Hanex, let us know what's up about Streetwise Beatbox Battle. I'll give the camera to you right now as you explain about the entire thing.
Okay. Basically, শান্ত ভাই এখন টম থামের সাথে কথা বলতে যাচ্ছে কি হয়েছে জিনিসগুলো নিয়ে। এর মাঝখানে আমি আমাদের আপকামিং যে শো, ওই শোটা মানে আপকামিং যে ইভেন্ট বিটবক্স বাংলাদেশে, ওই ইভেন্টটা নিয়ে আমি কথা বলতে যাব। বেসিক্যালি আমরা নতুন একটা ফরম্যাট ক্রিয়েট করেছি। ফরম্যাটটা হলো স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ বিটবক্স ব্যাটল। আমাদের কথা ছিল যে যদি কোভিড-19টা যদি না আসতো, তাহলে আমাদের যেটা করা হতো যে এই স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ বিটবক্স ব্যাটলে আমাদের সোলো, আমাদের ট্যাগ টিম, আমাদের টিম, দেন আমাদের লুপ স্টেশন সব ব্যাটল আমরা অ্যারেঞ্জ করতাম, বাট স্যাডলি এবার হচ্ছে না। বাট যেহেতু কোভিড-19 চাচ্ছেই আর আমাদের বিটবক্সাররা বসেই আছে, সো আমি চাইও না বিটবক্সাররা শুধু বসে থাকুক, কোনো না কোনো একটা ইভেন্ট হোক। সো স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ ইজ হ্যাপনিং। আমরা অলরেডি বিটবক্স বাংলাদেশ থেকে অ্যানাউন্স করে দিয়েছি। স্ট্রিটওয়াইজটা হবে হলো জুলাইয়ের 24 তারিখ। অ্যান্ড আমরা ওয়াইল্ড কার্ড সাবমিশনের ডেট অলরেডি দিয়ে দিছি। ওয়াইল্ড কার্ড শুরু হচ্ছে 1 তারিখ থেকে 10 তারিখ পর্যন্ত। অনেক শর্ট টাইমের মধ্যেই হবে আমাদের ওয়াইল্ড কার্ড সাবমিশন। অ্যান্ড কি হতে যাচ্ছে না হতে যাচ্ছে ওইগুলো কিছু ডিসক্রিপশন নিয়ে কথা বলি। 16 জন বিটবক্সার আমরা সিলেক্ট করব। অ্যান্ড 16 জন বিটবক্সার থেকে আমাদের লাস্টে যে 2 জন বাকি থাকবে বা ফাইনালে যারা যাবে, বেসিক্যালি ফার্স্ট এন্ড সেকেন্ড যারা হবে, তারা ডাইরেক্ট আমাদের ব্যাটলবক্স বিডিতে যাবে, ব্যাটলবক্স বিডি 2020। এন্ড ইয়েস, ব্যাটলবক্স বিডি 2020 অবভিয়াসলি হবে, কারণ আমরা একটা বছরও বাদ দিব না ন্যাশনাল চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপ। সো দোজ হু ওয়ান্টস যে হ্যাঁ আমাদের ন্যাশনাল চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপে আমি আমার নিজের জায়গা করে নিব, সো দিস ইজ ইয়োর চান্স। এন্ড ইয়া গাইস, আর হলো এছাড়া বলবো আমাদের কিছু কুল জোস জাজেস আসতেছে এইবার। অনেক জোস জাজেস থাকবে। উইল বি জাজিং আওয়ার স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ বিটবক্স ব্যাটল। সো ইয়া, শান্ত ভাই, জাজেস নিয়ে কিছু বলবেন?
This near definitely Bolbo. And quickly, of course, Tom is back. I will bring him on screen in just a little bit. The internet was being a problem, so hopefully you just have a few more questions we can ask him, because it is pretty much very close to midnight, if not entirely. But I don't want to let him go, but of course everyone has their things that they need to do, and I want to end the podcast on a really good note. So Tom, I'll be bringing you in a bit. Let me quickly tell, this is of course we're going to have 5 judges in this Streetwise Beatbox battle that we will mention at the end of the podcast. and we'll bring Ronesh back and explain this to you. So anyone wants to have questions about Streetwise Beatbox Battle, keep them coming in the comment section below, where we'll talk about it at the end of the podcast right here on the screen. But right now, I'm going to bring in Tom Thum, and of course do a quick intro with my brother Hanex right here. This is Tom Thum. What's up, bro?
Yo. Sorry, man.
Yo,
Australian
All
is
good.
bad.
big up,
Right.
big up, big up.
This
Hey,
is
brother.
Hanex, and
Hey, man.
we both work on the Beatbox Bangladesh community. So
Sick.
we were just announcing about the new battle that we have called Streetwise Beatbox Battle while you were trying to get back into the show.
Yeah.
So Hanex, anything you want to tell him before we go back to the remaining podcast?
Yeah, man, I love you.
Aw.
Just do your podcast. I don't want to be over here. I'll like shit at the last. Don't worry.
Okay, he's super nervous.
Oh, man.
Anyways, wow, I apologize, Tom. I was trying to.
No, it's not your fault, man. It's my internet just died and went on my phone, and then my phone like died from battery, and this
Oh.
started working again. Yeah, but here I am.
All good. Okay, thank you so much, man. But of course, like I said, I don't want to. I've been saying this. I don't want to keep you for long, but we have so many questions that's coming in, so we'll just try to make it wrap up as soon as possible. The last two sections is where you talk a bit about some of your sounds, if you can explain to some of the viewers, and B will talk about the country specific sounds that or what we mention a country and you go like, okay, this is technical or musical or something that pops to your mind. So we'll go into that section as well.
Yeah,
And we have two more people waiting in. We'll bring them in as well. So 2 questions before I go straight to the sound thing.
yeah.
Everyone else, whoever's here, ask your questions very quick. Tom's here, and yes, he's back. What? Every time an ambulance or an emergency vehicle passes me, my mouth is BT kit.
Yeah,
Don't wanna
totally,
sound-
man. It's everywhere, right? Just hearing there's music and everything.
Yeah, literally there is. My God, it's just unbelievable. So Tom, the questions that I want to ask about the sound is, we are super fascinated by how you work on the trumpets, the wind instruments, if I may.
Yeah,
If you can give a couple of pointers as to how we can work on it, and
Mhm.
I would like you to emphasize on this if you can. A lot of beatboxers go like, "Hey, I can do the trumpet. Hey, I'm trying to do this," but they don't understand the instrument as much. They don't learn it, but they want to do trumpets.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So I would say like my number one thing when talking about emulation of musical instruments is don't listen to me. Like, listen to me explain the technique of how I do it, but as soon as you understand like the mechanics of it, go and listen to a trumpet player. Like I'm copying a trumpet. You don't want to be copying a guy copying a trumpet. Just skip the middleman, go straight to the source. You know what I mean? Like, you want to learn all the things, the characteristics and traits of that instrument that you can replicate with your voice. And it's like Chinese whispers, I guess. If you're hearing what I think a trumpet hears like from me, it's much better to, like, if you want to learn scratches, don't, like, for sure, let me give you the tips on how to, make the sound, but then go and listen to turntablists, like go and copy your scratch patterns from them, because you might find something in the sound of a turntable that I can't do. So I would say, firstly, if you're trying to emulate instruments, if someone's got tips on how to try and replicate that sound, definitely absorb it, but then just go straight to the instrument itself. Like, listen to the music where that instrument is prevalent, like understand its characteristics. For example, if you put less air pressure through a wind instrument, maybe the pitch might change, or like maybe there's a vibrato that you can add in there, or if you're putting extra breath in there, maybe there's like a metallic overtone when like the sound passes through the reed or through the mouthpiece. Like, they're the kind of things that will make your instrument emulation realistic is finding those characteristics in the instruments themselves.
Right.
So that's what I would say. Like, that's a super important part of trying to learn trumpets or anything realistically, because otherwise you're just copying a guy that's copying an instrument. So I think it's super important to, like, for sure, like, I can definitely teach you my technique, but post that, go and listen to Miles Davis, or, you know, go and listen to, like, someone teaching a lesson on the trumpet. And don't listen to the lesson, just listen to the sound of each note as it goes, or, like, listen to the characteristics in that, the small, like, falterings in pitch and things like that that'll really make it super unique. Or, like, you know, like, I do a lot of things, man, where even just playing with resonance in your throat can, like, get certain different things. Like with saxophone sounds, like if you're you know, when I'm trying to make saxophone-y kind of sounds, I've got a friend that's got this beautiful old horn that's really crusty and old, and it takes a lot of air passing through it before the reed vibrates and gives him the actual pitch. So it's got, like, this really breathy intro to the sound, like it's like heaps of air in there before the actual tone comes through. So they're the things that I'll, like, listen to when trying to find out, like, how an instrument should sound. But in terms of trumpet things, yeah, I can teach you the basics of it. I start with, like, the siren, the sound, which is, like, for those people that might not be able to do it, it's just vibrating my top two teeth on my bottom lip and, like, humming through it gently to the point where you're not like, it's like a, and then I figured out that if I use all my top teeth on my bottom lip and did the same thing, I'd get a wider tone. And then I tried it with a lot of air through. So, like, the sound went from to and then going like, and there's, like, all sorts of, like, little things that you can do to change that sound. Like, if it's, like, little, I do a lot of trills, like, which is just me going like, or I'm putting, like, in there. Yeah, I feel like I could probably explain that clearer, but I don't know.
You mentioned that people need to listen to the trumpets and the instruments to understand the dynamics first, and I believe that is the first goal.
Yeah, dynamics is a really important one, man. Like, you can't just be full velocity the whole time. You have to, and that's why it is important to listen to the musicians, because I'm still learning as a musician myself. But you might find someone that's a seasoned trumpet player that's been playing for 30, 40 years, and, like, they're the people that I wish I could learn off. So I'm gonna, I would say do that for sure, is go straight to the source. I've got a bunch of tutorials for the actual sound on YouTube where I, like, really break it down. But once you get there, feel free to ask me any questions when it comes to the technique. But for sure, you should listen to the players to get the character of the instrument.
Definitely do that, everyone. And a lot of people ask, hey, I can do the trumpet. And the problem is, Ujay, the thing, you kind of don't really look at the roots, kind of understand where it's coming from. We were discussing this earlier on. You need to go back and see the origin and so on and so forth. Any instrument you pick up. And
Yes,
you,
so I would say, man, like, you know, it's important to sometimes to have accompaniment. So you can learn about, you know, just having a bass pitch line or something, and then exploring melodies over the top and finding harmony and things in that. So like, man, like even when I'm like out in the backyard with the lawnmower, or if I've got a leaf blower and I'm, you know, like blowing the leaves away, or I'm using an electric toothbrush, there's always a drone in there. You know, like it's always got a tonic. So every time I find something like that, I'm always singing melodies over the top. And I find that really helps as well. A hairdryer, you could do it with a hairdryer, air conditioner, like so many things like that. Just use that as a tonic and practice scales, practice melodies, you know, practice things that are complementary to the sound of the hairdryer. And I think that's a really undervalued tool in collaboration and learning. Sure.
and it's important, like, as you said, you have to observe, and not if whatever's around your place, if you kind of focus and kind of learn that, when you collaborate with someone, when you work on music with someone else, you'll actually understand, because you've trained yourself in trying to focus and absorb what's coming in, and also observe, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And yes, of course, at the same time, do check out Tom's YouTube channel. Everything's right there. You can learn from that. So mad respect, of course. You have to understand. You have to go back and check out the instruments. One thing I do have to give props to you for is when you did the TED Talk, once again, going back to that, is you used the bending of the tabla sound with your mouth. And I loved it, because I'm like, see, now that is amazing. Not because you're beatboxing something that's unorthodox in Australia, perhaps, but the fact is that isn't something everyone picks up and just, you know, tries to do. They're like, okay, I want to do a lot of Western stuff or dubstep or whatever, something. But it's great. And I think it's fascinating just to see something that you bend to play, but then you also pick it up here. So this is one of our best friends, to be honest.
Yeah, of course, man. And also for me, a friend of mine, Bobby Singh, is like incredible tabla player, and just sitting down and jamming with him, I learned so much about like Indian classical that I wouldn't have learned had I not reached out to him, or had we not sat in the same room for hours. And that, you know, cycles back to my comments on collaboration and learning through collaboration, because there's so much like wealth of knowledge that other people possess that can be given away freely. And I would say that's like, super.
Man, of course, you should definitely check out some of our local instruments called Dotarak. I'll send you whatever I can, and if that makes you create more amazing music, we would love that. And you might somewhere or might not. Maybe it might be something that inspires you to go somewhere. And the world is full of surprises, to be honest. All right, so before we bring in a couple of the last the lucky people, the last question before I go to the country part is, if there is an advice that you would like to give to the completely new beginners, what are the 3 or the 4 points that they need to focus on to start? Because there are a lot of people I know want to jump into it, and they just go like, and that's all they do. And they're like, I did it, bro. I'm a pro. I'm like, no, you just scratch the surface. There's a lot.
Yeah. So like, you know, like it's the same thing with learning tabla. You learn one stroke over and over and over and over. You don't just like jump into complex patterns and things like that. Like, I see a lot of people that just really want to jump years and years of repertoire to get to what's trending in the beatbox scene now. Like, you need to understand the fundamentals so you can fall back on stuff. Like, you know, just if you keep eating meat for your entire life, you're going to get heart disease. You know what I mean? Like, you want to like balance it out with other kind of sustenance. And that other sustenance is just the basic things, like really hone in on the sound of your kick, like make it thump. Don't like, just because you can do a tiny thump and now you want to like master lip rolls or inwards bass, like there is a wealth of things in there that I would say really put time into learning that and making it clean and making it concise, because essentially we're trying to emulate mastered songs. You know, like you hear EDM or dubstep, it's just fat, compressed sounds. And if you don't spend time working on your kick drum or working on your snare, everything else is going to fall apart, because that's that's the backbone of a lot of grooves and fundamentals. So I would say really hone in on the basics. At the same time, you're learning all these advanced technical things. I would say play with other people. I'm giving this advice this is like the advice that I would give to Tom, when I was 15 or something. I would say play with other people and sing more. I would say, understand that the voice is such an important tool in beatboxing. It's not just lips and drums. Like, there's a whole lot of other stuff that you can do with your vocal cords. So I would say practice scales, beatbox along to songs you like. Just keep the groove. Just groove with it. You don't have to like solo over the top. Just really put time into becoming not just a soloist, but becoming a musician that can play with anyone. I would say that's like one of the things that I wish that I had clicked onto 10 years ago or something like that. I feel like I would be further along and easier integrated into projects if I had that information a long time ago.
All right. Well, straight from Tom's experience, this is what you guys need to do. And yeah, man, you've always wanted to hear some of your best some of your inspirations talk about this. Tom's saying it. You know what to do. And throughout this entire podcast, some of the most amazing experiences that you shared, we're totally grateful. And what I really appreciate is, everyone's a book. We're all storybooks, literally. And each page that comes up, we're continuing a chapter. So, these conversations are like those chapters being read out and getting to know more about the person. And, someone wrote, "Oh my God," and someone wrote right below that, "Oh my Tom," instead. I'm like, okay, should I read that? And the entire but just went away. But what I wanted to point out is, how we experience all of us, how we experience all of our idols or anyone that we follow or anyone that we like. We're like, okay, how does he do it? But you're human at the end of the day. You're pretty much doing the same thing. You're eating, you're living, you're working, you're trying to survive for the next day. We all go through struggles and everything. But super grateful, Tom, that you are doing what you're doing and you are inspiring very positively a hell lot of people. I don't think we can count. And Bangladesh is a lot of Bangladeshis are grateful for two reasons. A, they got to learn beatboxing through you. B, they got to know what beatboxing is through you. And so the ones who don't beatbox, they're like, okay, there you go. And this is where you are. You answered a question someone asked, but we will not take any more questions. The last two phases, sections of the podcast. A, we're going to ask certain countries that I'll mention, and you tell me what that country sounds like to you. Or like you mentioned Japan a while back. We'll start with Japan. A word to describe them. It could be a musical term. Yeah, like a musical term or anything beatbox related.
Yeah. Precise and measured and executed perfectly.
Okay. All right. Australia, because we have dope beatboxers from that side.
Yeah. Oh, so, okay. Yeah. Laid back, spacious, dry.
Okay. France.
Musical, light, melodic, cheesy, as in lots of cheese, fromage.
All right.
Not cheesy as in bad, as in delicious.
How about South America as a region, because they're growing as a beatboxing scene?
I would say dancing, percussion, precise, intricate melodies, and interesting accents. Putting counterintuitive accents for me.
Okay. Last country that I want to ask, because you've already been to the subcontinent. So I wanted to say Bangladesh, but you've not been here. India.
Great. Very collaborative. Inspired. Passionate. And sweaty.
All right.
Mumbai was crazy, man.
Definitely
Crazy.
humid because of the whole weather. And everything. I really hope we can bring you here one day. We'll talk about that very soon. Okay, so before I ask you to drop whatever energy you have right now to drop a beat, we have the two lucky individuals. So I'll bring in one by one. The first one is Riham. What's up? Hey, Riham.
Yo, yo.
Hey, what's up, man? I can't
up?
believe it is Thum in front of me.
It's definitely me.
If you can you just avoid this upper section of my head? Yeah, I know I look weird. Just avoid
No one
that.
cares, Riham. It's fine.
Everyone's in isolation. No one cares what anyone looks like at the moment, so it's fine.
All right, Riham. So ask your question.
I don't know what to say, man. Everyone has their favorite beatboxer, but my favorite beatboxer is someone known as Thum. And every day since I've doing this, it has been one person, that is Thum. I started with you, I will end with you.
Oh, word.
I have a question that is, as you started as a beatboxer, how did you transform yourself to a structured musician? I know I had a lot of this answering of this question about the podcast, but a little more under that.
Yeah, cool, man. So I would say the key to longevity, you know what I mean? Like I've been lucky to enjoy a career that's been over 10, 15 years long so far, is reinventing and making, not only like reinventing yourself as an artist, but reinventing yourself mentally so that you continue to enjoy the process of creating music. Because like I think I mentioned earlier that as soon as your music doesn't feel genuine, it's harder for people to connect to it. So if you can put your passion in and you can really enjoy the process of putting out music, then that is like really integral to becoming a lifelong musician, I guess. Yeah, man, like I think it's less about becoming structured and more about making sure that you remain passionate and you put yourself in the music that you're putting out. For me, the way that I like,
Fully into the music.
yeah, the way that
Yeah.
the way that I enjoy my career is the opposite of structure. Like most of the time I have no idea what I'll be doing, what the next project I'll be doing is. Yeah, I want to do a project with contemporary dancer at the moment, you know, like weird stuff with contortionists. Like I have no idea. And that's why it's exciting, because I haven't structured it. None of it's rigid. I don't know what to expect. And that's why it's exciting for me. So I would say that the most important thing is keeping yourself like mentally happy and invested in what you're doing. So yeah.
I was trying to do that.
Yeah,
I also
man.
have a musical background, so I'm fully into music.
Oh, nice one, brother. Well, best of luck.
Thank you, Riham, for being here. And hopefully we'll...
Yes, I'm Santubai. I love you. I love both of you.
All right.
Cheers,
Peace out. And the last person to be here, we have a very small group of women who's trying to beatbox. And we would really love for them to come out. As I keep saying, and I've been saying it the last few days as well, last few weeks especially, or actually quite a long of time. Beatboxing doesn't choose gender. There's nothing like that. Male, female, doesn't matter what you do. You beatbox, that's it. So a lot of the women or young girls in this society in Bangladesh, they're kind of scared, or they go through a lot, and or something that it's a male dominated thing, but it's not. So I would love for the scene to come out with a lot of amazing talents as such. So right now we have the last lucky person. It's Susanna. What's up?
Yo, yo.
All right, your mic's on mute. You need to unmute your mic. Oh yeah, there you go.
I think I'm gonna cry. Like, oh my god, I'm talking to Thum. Oh my god,
Hello.
my heart's gonna stop.
Oh,
No.
what?
I'm a huge fan of yours. Oh my god,
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
literally shaking with all my hands. Like, I don't really know what to say right now, but like, oh my god, you're so amazing.
Oh, thanks. Tell my parents. I appreciate that.
All right, Susanna. So you get to ask a question. To ask the question.
Yeah,
I
feel
want to know how do you get to like create all those vocal scratch patterns on your
Mhm.
mind? Like they're super easy and amazing. How do you do that?
Yeah, I listen to turntablists. So I've got a lot of friends that are DJs. So I'll listen to a loop like back and forth. I'll find like I really like as I get older, I'm like really into polyrhythmic patterns and things like that, like finding a straight beat and then like swinging over the top of it, or like scratching in threes or in fives, things like that. Yeah, I don't know. I just jam, man. Like I'll put on a loop and I'll just scratch for like ages and ages until I can barely talk anymore. And I think that like it helps coming from that hip hop background, because I'm always like, like I just love the sound of that, like kind of like boom bappy kind of scratch. So I only ever notate my patterns when I do tutorials. It just kind of like comes to my head. I think I'm like a scratch sponge.
It's super awesome. Like whenever I try to learn them, I just go through your videos and like boom, they're super easy and easy to learn.
Oh, word.
I'm literally right now. I'm super shaking.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you,
My head won't be able to fit the video frame. Oh, what up, dude? Thank you for checking in.
Thank you so much.
All right. Keep working hard. Hope to
Thank
see you. Hope to see you work. Come out with really amazing stuff, and keep doing it. The other girls in the community, they need to also come out of the shell and understand. They got this. They can do this. So Susanna, lead the way. Let's do this. All right.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Thank you.
All right. All right. Peace out.
See you in Bangladesh soon.
Yeah, inshallah, definitely. All right, Tom, we are at the end of the podcast. Before we request you to drop a beat, I do want to thank you for the huge amount of time that you gave, for all the questions that you've answered. We are super grateful, and it's amazing. Like I said, you're doing what you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing. You love what you love, and we are all falling in the same. Okay, I'm getting a lot of static sound. That's a bit weird. Yeah, you're getting that note on the side.
Yeah.
Is it still on? It's still on. It's gone now.
Yeah.
Bass. So I'll teach 2 words to you in Bangla, and say Tomra.
Tomra.
Kemon.
Kemon.
Acho.
Acho.
It means how are you, or how are you guys?
Tomra. Kemon. Acho.
Yeah, that's right. And to introduce yourself in Bangla, it will be Amar Nam.
Amar Nam.
Hotse.
Hotse.
Tom Thum.
Amar Nam Hotse Tom Thum.
Yes. And I love you in
Amar Nam Hotse Tom Thum.
Sweet, bro. And the last line is if you can say I love you, that's Ami, that's I in Bangla. I and Ami is the same.
Ami.
Ami is I. Love is bhalobashi. Bhalo.
Alovashi.
It's a BHALO. Bhalo
Palo.
bashi.
Palobashi.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be if someone tells you I love you, Thum, you'll be like I love you too. You know, whatever express you want to, however you want to express. So Ami
Ami.
tomakeo.
To.
Tomakeo.
Doma.
No,
Doma.
to.
To.
Tomato. Tomato. So tomakeo.
Tomakeo. Tomakeo.
Yeah, tomakeo.
Tomakeo.
Bhalobashi.
Palobashi.
That means I love you too.
Ah, there you go.
All right.
Man,
All right.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
well,
so this is super amazing because we have always wanted to teach Bangla to all the beatboxers. We have the vocabulary which can probably make beatboxing sound like how like Trung Bao does, and he uses the Vietnamese syllables to his beatboxing advantage. So we would love for you to drop a beat before we end the podcast, and anything that comes to your mind. Anything.
Yeah, cool. I'll try and think of something. My voice is probably a bit shot at the moment.
All right, and the camera goes to you.
You're now in tune with Thum the Thumb. Oh, I don't even know what to do. Hey!
On the fly, but awesome. Thank you so much, Thum.
I don't really solo beatbox that much, but thank you for having me on, my brother.
Thank you so much, and it's a super honor. If there's anything you would like to say to everyone who's watching, and a huge shout out from Beatbox Bangladesh. Everyone's asking so everyone's praying for your well-being. Actually, hopefully everything goes well on your side as well. So any messages?
And likewise to you. Thank you to you for having me, and thank you to everybody for writing in questions and warming my heart and making me feel like a valid human being while everybody is locked inside. So thank you for having me on, my brother.
Thank you so much, and hope you have a good night, Thum. And we're, like I said, super grateful. Amazing that you're doing what you're doing. Hopefully we can meet someday, and we would love to bring you over for a few shows, a tour, or probably our nationals, the Battlebox BD. But we'll definitely talk to you about this in some time in the future. And this situation rises out and gets out of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I also want to. I totally forgot to mention it, but I did another TED talk that just got released a couple of days ago from
the Gateway one. From
Mumbai. Yeah. So if you get the chance and you've got some time, go check that out too. It's really weird. It's super different to the normal stuff I do. So it's a bit of a wild card, but hopefully it'll ease some sort of frustrations. So we'll see.
For sure. And do follow Thum. Every single link is in the description below, from Instagram, Facebook, everything. And do check out his stuff on Spotify. The link's in the description as well. Once again, thank you so much, Thum. And onek dhonnobad. That's thank you in Bangla.
Thank you, bro.
Take it easy. Peace out. And Peace. Good night, brother.
Yeah, you too, mate. Peace.
Take care. All right. Wow. And man, this is unbelievable. We had Thum on the podcast. Yes, we had Thum on the podcast. Yes, that just happened. And he's such a good sport. I can't believe that this much time. But I did tell him it's gonna be a couple, like an hour and a half, but it's over 2 hours, and it's amazing how he was able to give time and সবার প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিয়েছে. Everyone who was here, thank you so much. But I'm not gonna say bye yet because we have Hanex, we have the announcement and the continuation of the discussion regarding this because big stuff's coming up. What's up, Hanex? What's going on?
Yo, আমি first of all বলবো thanks to everyone, like beatboxer যারা কমেন্ট সেকশনে ছিল, এত ম্যাচিওর কোশ্চেন যেটা আমরা
Totally.
এতদিন যাবত দেখতেছি না, এন্ড এত ম্যাচুরিটি বাড়তেছে এতদিন যাবত যেভাবে আমরা দেখে আসতেছি বিটবক্সারদের, সো ইটস রিয়েলি অ্যামেজিং। প্লাস হলো মানে শান্ত ভাই, আপনি আর আমি অলওয়েজ বলতেছিলাম যে লাইক টু দা নিউ জেনারেশন বি ভার্সেটাইল।
Yes.
দেয়ার শুধু বিটবক্সিং ব্যাটল দিয়ে হয় না, দো আমরা ব্যাটল করে আসতেছি so that হলো জিনিসটা প্রোগ্রেস হয়, বাট দেয়ার আর সো মেনি আদার ওয়েজ টু এক্সপ্লোর, and I hope আজকে টমথম যেভাবে এক্সপ্লোর মানে এক্সপ্রেস করছে, everyone will be like inspired to be that person or be like that journey. So this is amazing. আজকে টমথম যেটা মানে amazing ছিল। Anyways,
Hanex, we're saying Tom Thumb. আমরা দেখতে দেখতে তাকে he was here. And this is happening, and all the beatboxers, musicians out there, ওরা কিন্তু বাংলাদেশের beatboxers দের ব্যাপারে জানে, the community ব্যাপারে জানে, and all this is happening because of you guys. So be more curious, ask more questions, আরো জানার চেষ্টা করো। But জানার ব্যাপার যখন হচ্ছে Hanex streetwise beatbox battle নিয়ে আমরা পুরো ডিটেইলসটা সবার সাথে শেয়ার করি। Once again, let's repeat about the date সবকিছু, let's talk about it.
ওকে, স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ বিটবক্স আমাদের বেসিক্যালি স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ বিটবক্সটা ছিল আমাদের নিউ কামার বিটবক্সারদের জন্য, কারণ অলরেডি একটা ন্যাশনাল চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপ হয়, এন্ড আমরা জানি যে ন্যাশনাল চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপে আমরা সবাইকে জায়গা দিতে পারতেছি না, এন্ড সব ক্যাটাগরি আমরা জায়গা দিতে পারতেছি না জাস্ট বিকজ ন্যাশনাল চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপে কিছু রুলস এন্ড রেগুলেশন থাকে, যার কারণে হলো আমরা অ্যালাউড হলো বাইরের চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপে লাইক এশিয়ান চ্যাম্পিয়নশিপ and world championship যেটা প্রত্যেক 4 বছর পর পর হয়। এনিওয়েজ, সো এছাড়াও আমাদের কিছু ছোট ছোট ব্যাটল ফরম্যাট করার কথা ছিল, and this is one of them বলতেছি because there are other beatbox events coming in future. So streetwise was supposed to have lot of other sections like tag teams, loop station, team beatboxing, 7 to smoke, like every form of art, like একদিন একটা সারা দিনের একটা ইভেন্ট করার কথা ছিল, বাট যেহেতু COVID-19
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you because পিছনে আজান দিচ্ছে মনে হয়, অডিও as well অনেক হচ্ছে। আমরা ততক্ষণে কিছু প্রশ্ন নিই while that আজানটা শেষ হোক। সবার যা যা প্রশ্ন আছে কমেন্ট বক্সে লেখো, আমি আর হ্যানেক্স এটা রিপ্লাই দিব, এন্ড আরো ডিটেইলস বলবো স্ট্রিটওয়াইজ নিয়ে বিকজ দিস ইজ বিগ স্টাফ কামিং তোমাদের জন্যই। সো স্টার্ট রাইটিং ইন দ্য কমেন্ট বক্স, এন্ড আমরা এখন সবার প্রশ্নের উত্তর এখনই দিব। আর আরেকটা জিনিস বলে রাখি, অফকোর্স টম থামকে ফলো করার জন্য নিয়ম বলে দিয়েছি, এন্ড যদি আরো জানতে চাও ইভেন আফটার দিস লাইভ ইজ ওভার, হ্যানেক্সও সব এক্সপ্লেন করার পরে রিয়েলি সিম্পল, জাস্ট আমাদের পেজে যাবে যেটা লিঙ্কও আছে ডিসক্রিপশনে, আমাদের ইনস্টাগ্রামে যাবে যেটা লিঙ্ক আছে ডিসক্রিপশনে, সবকিছু আছে, এনি ইনফরমেশন দ্যাট ইউ নিড সবকিছু অ্যাভেলেবল থাকে। সো অল ইউ টু ডু ইজ রিড ইট, সব ওখানে আছে। অ্যান্ড তোমাদের যদি জানা থাকে কেউ বিটবক্স এটা ট্রাই করছে, আর অনেকে যেমন ব্যাটল বক্স বিডির সময় আসতে পারে না বা অনেক কিছু শুনেছি আমরা, বাট রাইট নাও সবাই বাসায় আছে, দিস ইজ আ গুড টাইম and you have a lot of time to work on this stuff. So Hanex will start talking the moment of course পিছনে যখন আজান শেষ হবে। And রিহাম একটা প্রশ্ন করেছে, yes the wild card will only be on YouTube, কারণ অনেক সময় ফেসবুকে থাকে, ইনস্টাগ্রামে অনেক জায়গায় দিয়ে থাকে, ইটস ভেরি ডিফিকাল্ট টু সর্ট দেম আউট। ইউটিউবে থাকলে এটা ভালো হবে, ইউটিউবে থাকলে একটা জায়গায় কালেকটিভ থাকবে, সো যেই জাজ করবে যারাই দেখবে তারা কিন্তু ইজিলি ইউটিউবে দেখতে পারবে, অ্যান্ড এই প্র্যাকটিসটা আমরা চালাই যাব, so it will be there. And Hanex will answer the next question that about this, but আমরা আরো প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিব, তোমরা প্রশ্নগুলো করো and be curious, that's the thing. All right, Hanex, are you ready? All right, okay. So once again বলে রাখি কুইকলি, যদি আরো কিছু জানতে চাও যেটা করতে হবে যে গ্রুপের, আমাদের গ্রুপে আছে তোমরা যারা বাংলাদেশে থাকো, বা বাংলাদেশি বিটবক্সার্স যারা আছে তারা গ্রুপে যেতে পারবে। ইউ ক্যান মিট এভরিওয়ান এলস দেয়ার। ওয়ান্স অ্যাগেন আরেকটা জিনিসও বলে রাখি, যেমন একটু আগে সুজানা ছিল, and we would encourage and also would love for the girls to come out and show your beatboxing skills or learn at least. এই ভালো চান্স আছে। আমরা দেখুন এই জিনিসটা বারবার বলছি, বিটবক্সিং নোজ নো জেন্ডার, and যে কেউ এখানে পার্টিসিপেট করতে হবে, has to be from Bangladesh of course. And ব্যাটল নিয়ে ফরম্যাট বলবেন, সো ব্যাটলিং ফরম্যাটের চেঞ্জ হবে। আচ্ছা, এটা once again Hanex will answer in just a bit. আমরা এখানে আছি, we will be talking about that, but once again একটু মাথায় রাখি 1 তারিখ থেকে 10 তারিখ means are just এরই মধ্যে কিন্তু শুরু হবে। ইনফ্যাক্ট তোমরা এখনই শুরু করে ফেলতে পারো, বাট you have to submit between the 1st and the 10th. Hanex.
ওকে, আমি যে জিনিসটা বলতেছিলাম যে আমাদের স্ট্রিট ওয়াইজ বেসিক্যালি কি জিনিসটা নিয়ে অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমরা করার কথা ছিল, যেহেতু কোভিড-19 হিট করছে and we need to change our format and we need to make sure যে আমাদের আপকামিং ট্যালেন্টরা যেন চান্স না হারায়। সো এইবারের যে ইভেন্টটা করতেছি স্ট্রিট ওয়াইজ বিটবক্স ব্যাটল, এটা আমাদের ডিসকর্ডে ব্যাটলটা হবে, অনলাইন ব্যাটল হবে। এন্ড যেহেতু অনলাইন ব্যাটল হইতেছে, ট্যাগ টিম করাটা একদমই পসিবল না, এন্ড টিম ব্যাটল করাটাও একদমই পসিবল না। সো ফর দ্য টাইম বিং আমরা জাস্ট সোলো বিটবক্সিং রাখতেছি, এন্ড 16 জন আমরা কম্পিটিটর নিব। এন্ড যারা লাস্ট 2 হবে বা মানে ফার্স্ট এন্ড সেকেন্ড যে হবে, তারা হলো ডাইরেক্ট ব্যাটলবক্স বিডি 2020 তে ডাইরেক্ট এন্ট্রি নেবে, যেখানে হলো প্রিভিয়াস ইয়ারের আমাদের চ্যাম্পিয়ন এন্ড ভাইস চ্যাম্পিয়ন অলরেডি প্লেস লকডাউন, কজ যে চ্যাম্পিয়ন আর ভাইস চ্যাম্পিয়ন হয় তারা তাদের প্লেসটা লকডাউন থাকে। বাট আই এম হিয়ারিং সাম নিউজ শান্ত ভাই যে চ্যাম্পিয়ন নাও করতে পারে এই বছর।
আচ্ছা,
হু নোস।
ওয়েল তার মানে এই কনফিউশনটা ক্লিয়ার হোক, যদি চ্যাম্পিয়ন বা ভাইস চ্যাম্প যদি না আসে to the BattleBox BD, even though দুটা slot খালি, so there will be 4 slots out of 16 that's available. 2 for the BattleBox champs from the earlier year, and so on and so forth, same cycle. 2 from Streetwise BattleBox. I'm sorry, Streetwise Beatbox Battle. We're so used to saying BattleBox. So তার মানে 2-2, but যদি এখানে yes,
শান্ত ভাই, obviously পরে 12 জন বাকি থাকবে যারা হলো আবার সিলেকশন প্রসেস থাকবে, ওটা ব্যাটল
same elimination, হ্যাঁ same,
ওই ব্যাটল বক্স ভিডিও নিয়ে আমরা পরেই কথা বলবো। বাট স্ট্রিট ওয়াইজের এইবারের যে রুলসটা হচ্ছে, ইটস কমপ্লিটলি আউট অফ দ্য ব্লু, কজ কিছু করার নাই, কোভিড-19 হিট করছে, উই নিড টু চেঞ্জ আওয়ার ফরম্যাট। বাট নেক্সট টাইম যে স্ট্রিট ওয়াইজ বিটবক্স ব্যাটল থেকে যে ডাইরেক্ট যাবে ব্যাটল বক্স ভিডিওতে, এটাও শিওর না, কজ ফর দ্য টাইম বিং উই জাস্ট trying to have a good event and a positive event so that beatboxers can engage. Other than that, I want to mention, please, anyone and everyone, please submit your wildcards. Reason number 1, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are. The most important thing is you being seen by the community and by the judges, and hearing from them their perspective how you are. It's a big thing. Doesn't matter tumi kotok like competitor hoite paro for the battle. The thing is community te known hoa ba holo community te ki jani bole community সাথে যুক্ত হওয়ার, this is one of the way. Give your wild cards, show what you got. And এছাড়া second point যেটা বলবো যে guys, from now please take things seriously. Amra over the years we are trying to grow more and more, and this is our chance. Like every event is your chance to show your true talent that you have and that you are preparing for the last 1 year or 2 years or 3 days, even doesn't matter. Anyway, so this is what's the like updates for Streetwise Beatbox Battle. Other than that, the wildcard submission is open from 1st July to 10th July, and the judging will be from 10th July to 15th July, and we will be announcing all the battlers on 16th July, and the main battle is gonna happen on 24th July in our official Discord channel, Beatbox Bangladesh Discord channel. If you're not part of that channel, please search the link in Beatbox Bangladesh page. You'll find so many like links in every post. Other than that, yeah, that's it. We're gonna have a nice battle. And about judge Shanto bhai, we have 5 judges.
We have 5 judges. আমরা কি অ্যানাউন্স করব এখনই?
We don't wanna, obviously.
না আমরা
That
অ্যানাউন্স
will-
না করি, আমরা তো
that-
আস্তে ধীরে, হ্যাঁ।
that will kill our vibe. What I want to mention, we have 3 international judges and 2 national judges.
হ্যাঁ।
2 already অনেকে কমেন্ট করতেছিল যে এই জাজেস বা ও জাজেস। Trust me, everyone is wrong. কারা জাজেস এটা নিয়ে আমরা obviously কথা বলবো। Anyways, আমার দরজা সব দিক থেকে বন্ধ, just because ঘরে যেন কেউ না ঢুকতে পারে, বাট অনেকেই দরজা ধাক্কাচ্ছে, সো আমি চলে গেলাম শান্ত ভাই। Take care.
Alright.
And yeah, next day হইতে পারে আমরা রিপসন দেখতে পারি, or কাকে দেখতে পারি শান্ত ভাই?
এই এটা এত তাড়াতাড়ি বললে তো হবে না ম্যান,
Okay,
সব সারপ্রাইজ
okay.
দেওয়ার কোনো মানে নাই।
Anyways, take care guys, best of luck everyone and anyone. And from this podcast, we also want to reach to the female beatboxers,
Yes, please.
so that they can see যে ভাই আমরা man dominated community না, please.
এরকম কিছুই না।
We want you guys to be over here too.
আচ্ছা,
Okay.
you have to go, যা বুঝতেছি।
Take care. Bye.
Peace out. And of course, that was Hanex. Once again, guys, কি last year heart attack দিছি, সারপ্রাইজ তো এখনো দিলাম না আমরা। Anyways, point is, get ready for this. A platform it's not gonna be easy from now on. There is a reason why this is called level 1. So protibar streetwise levels barbe, it will be tougher and tougher, and that will show the way how it's going to be much tougher when you go to the battle box. So yes, if you do win and if you're in the top 2, that's how it's going to be easy. So work hard, and if you don't get it properly in streetwise, there's battle box, but streetwise is the first test, then battle box PD comes in. So get ready, brother. Shobai shuru kore dao. Yes, Mehrab. Shuru kore. In fact, দেখা হবে Streetwise Beatbox Battle Level 1A. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, peace out, guys. This is Beatboxo. We've had Thum today on episode 26. Yes. সামনে কার আসবে এটা তো আমি কি বলে দিব? Anyone wants to know? Well, আচ্ছা, you know what? আমি next guestটা বলতে যাচ্ছিলাম, বলবো না। All you need to do is quickly follow Beatbox Bangladesh and Beatboxo. ওখানে announcement আজকে রাতে হয়তো হবে for the next guest যে বুধবারে থাকবে। You get to know audio, video, beatboxing, and how to be super awesome. Yes, this guy is Beshijos. That's one hint. Peace out. Beatboxo signing out from my podcast here, or actually our podcast. It's not my. This is powered by Beatbox Bangladesh, and a huge shout out goes to Nagib Hawk. Why did you just hit the mic? Boom.